Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse, mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take a few to lose, built to win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. And today, we're going to be reviewing our SEC preview for the 2025-2026 season. And if you remember, I didn't do this one alone. I did have a guest. He is a Texas fan. We both were high on Texas. We'll talk about them super later on into the episode. But without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce my guest for tonight's episode. You've seen him on the R2L main show. You've seen him on Unfazed. You've seen him here. I don't know if he made any. You've seen him on BWT. It's my boy, Joe. Welcome to the show again, Joe. How you doing? As I lost the sound. Hold on. I lost it. All right, there we go.
Happy to be here. Hey, Carl, I was on CTC. I was on BWT. I was on LCC. I was on In the Red Corner. And I was on RBO and Zero Sports Talk. I've been on every show and Dave's Doghouse. I've been on every show so far. Teddy was the last one, but shout out to Teddy. But yeah, we here though. Looking forward to going through this review of the SEC.
Yeah, that's the one I was about to say, but I wasn't 100% sure it was RBO. But hey, shout out to Ben Goat Front Rooms. He says hello. Shout out to you. But man, I can't wait to dive into our predictions in the SEC. There is one thing I can't wait about, and that's this team that I'm repping, the South Carolina team. Boy, was I wrong about South Carolina. I can wait on that one, but it's a lot of things that we both got right. And I ain't gonna spoil it, but it's a lot of things we got right. But without further ado, Joe, you ready?
Let's get it, man. I'm ready.
All right, we got to start with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, Alabama had a really good year this year. Made it to the SEC championship game. Now, that they might want to remember as being a blur because that didn't go quite as well for SEC. For Bama. But, man, I said they had a great year. The year prior, they went 9-4, 5-3, where they came off a bowl loss to Michigan. It was Kalen DeBoer's first year, and he got a lot of flack for it. I mean, it's Bama, 9-game win season would be great at most schools, not with Bama and Nick Saban at the helm the year previous to that. So he had a lot of shoes to fill. But the following year, so this past year that just happened, he went 10-2, 7-1. Only SEC loss was to Oklahoma of all the teams on the schedule, I know. But the most concerning loss was the first game of the season. There was a lot of trash talk in the offseason about this game between players, Thomas Castellanos mainly, about how Florida State was going to win. And everybody, including myself, and the national media, people like me, the small-time media trying to make a name, and everything in between, were like, he's tripping. Bama going to dog them. And Florida State actually pulled out the win, and might I say in dominant fashion. Bama scored their first drive, and it was a struggle bus for the rest of the game for them to score. Absolute dominance performance by Florida State at the crib, and things look concerning for Bama. But then Bama would go on to rattle off 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, I might have counted that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 straight. 8 straight games beating UL Monroe, Wisconsin, Georgia, Vandy, Mizzou, Tennessee, South Carolina, and LSU before losing to Oklahoma and finishing with Eastern Illinois and Auburn. So, great season for Bama. Like I said, they lost the SEC championship 28-7 versus Georgia. I got 9 games right, 3 games wrong. I had them going 11-1, 7-1. I had their only loss being to South Carolina. Again, was very high on South Carolina. So that segment is going to humble me. But I had Alabama's only loss being to South Carolina. I did get the over 9.5 correct with them winning 10 games. I did get the SEC record correct with them going 7-1. But again, I did not get the regular season record correct with them going 10-2. I had them going 11-1. Now, I will say this. Bama's Achilles heel offensively could not establish the run. And part of that blame, a lot of that blame, for in my opinion, goes to the O-line. But I think some of it kind of goes to Ryan Grubb, the OC. He had a tough time establishing the run with Seattle. Didn't really want to run the ball with Seattle. Had Geno throwing a ton in Seattle. Comes from Washington, where they threw the ball a ton with Penix and Washington, even though they made it to the national championship. And it was a struggle bus to establish the run this year for Bama as well, which ultimately bit them in the behind later on in the year. They did win the first round of the college football playoffs and a revenge game against Oklahoma. With that game in Norman, looked like it was going to be a struggle bus for Bama. Bama came out real slow. Oklahoma came out hot. But then Bama got hot and went on to win 34-24. And then a blowout loss in the Rose Bowl to Indiana, 38-3, which we all know Indiana was just a well-oiled machine that could not be stopped. And Ty Simpson and the boys just looked real bad against Indiana. But a lot of teams have. But all in all, great year for Bama. They're looking to improve on a year where they made the college football playoffs and won a playoff game. Joe, talk to me about Bama.
All right, so Bama, I had them going just like you, 11-1, in overall record, 7-1 in the SEC. And you're right. You know, the first game of the season was the shocker for me also. I had them winning that game. They popped over the loss, and then I started panicking. I'm like, oh my gosh, my whole prediction is going to be a bust. But my only loss to them was to Missouri. I had them beating everybody else, but like you said, they ended up losing to Oklahoma, but then they beat Missouri. So I did, like you said, they hit the over. They were 9.5 going into the season. They hit 10, and I had hitting the over also. And my question mark for them was not really question mark. You know how I felt about Ryan Grubb. You know what I mean? Ryan Grubb, I think you mentioned on last episode with the Seahawks and all that stuff. But I didn't really question him too much because he's going back to college, kind of different from the NFL. And Ty Simpson was the one that we was like, okay, like what am I going to get from Ty Simpson? You know, I know he had a good high school career and all that good stuff, but I feel like he had a solid season. You know, I feel like he had a solid year. He did get drafted in the first round this year, which is shout out to him going to the Rams. And then we all know about Ryan Williams also. But yeah, shout out to Bama. They made it to the playoffs. Y'all give them credit for that. They made it to the SEC championship game. I give them credit for that also, but they couldn't get it done once they got there. So, yeah.
Speaking of Ryan Williams, I ain't even talk about it. What a failure. I don't want to say a failure, but what a disappointment of a season for Ryan Williams. Just dropping passes, inconsistent play. It just seems like he was in his own head all year at the receiver spot. Yeah. And it was a disappointment from the freshman year that everybody was so touted about. So
yeah, he wasn't even the lead receiver on his team.
Nah, it was Jeremy Bernard.
Yeah.
Shout out from former Spartan. Very short stint with the Spartans, but gotta
claim
my guys. Yeah. But nonetheless, Yeah, he's looking to bounce back this year for sure, especially because he has a really good year, and the following season was that'll be an episode later on down the line. It's draft eligibility time. This is junior year, so you got to put it on, especially with guys like Jeremiah Smith and who am I missing? You got some guys in this class, so you got to put on so he could be up there with them draft season.
And I think you mentioned in the preview how you didn't say the words overrated, but you kind of went towards that direction. Like people was making him like he was the best receiver in the nation. And you was
I put up guys like Jordan Tyson.
True. Yeah,
I remember. But yeah, man. I would say all in all, very successful season for Alabama. I mean, a Bama fan probably won't agree with me. Oh, we didn't win the Natty, so it ain't successful. Nick Saban ain't coming through them doors, bro. So you just gotta kind of temper your expectations.
And they improved from the year following.
Improved, made the SEC championship, won a playoff game. I don't see how you would look at this as a failure, but again, Bama fans are spoiled, so I can see why they would say that. But we'll move on from a high to a low. We're going to move on to the Arkansas Razorbacks, in which Sam Pittman got fired this season from the Arkansas Razorbacks. They were coming off a 7-6, 3-5 season where they did play Texas Tech in a bowl game. They beat Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. Taylor Green had a crazy Liberty Bowl. But just blunders, late game blunders for Arkansas this year. That's kind of what happened. They'll be in close games, late game, and you got the Memphis game where Mike Washington fumbles after I think he did get the first down, but he fumbled. So Memphis gets the ball and then Memphis scores, and you just got a bunch of late game blunders where you lose ball games. And Arkansas had enough, and they relieved Sam Pittman. Now, I had Arkansas going 5-7, 2-6. I didn't have him making a bowl game. I thought I like Taylor Green as an athlete. As a QB, I was never sold. Even at Boise State, he was going back and forth with and I always say his name in reverse, so I apologize in advance. But Madsen, I always say his name in reverse. But when Genty, the year before, Genty had that crazy year and got drafted. Genty also had another crazy year before that, and he had like 500, 600 yards receiving. People don't talk about. They like, oh, Genty can't catch out the backfield.
Yeah.
If you look at his year previous to the year he got drafted, he was doing everything. But he lost his spot that year to Madison Maddox, which then made him transfer to Arkansas in the first place. And I'm not saying them having this bad year is on Taylor Green. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, coming into the year, I was not sold on Taylor Green. Crazy athlete, super fast, just wasn't sold on him. And Arkansas did worse than what I expected, man. Arkansas not only did worse than what I expected, they didn't win an SEC game at all. Arkansas went 2-10, 0-8. Terrible season for them. Their only wins were to Alabama A&M, who's I think they're not even FBS. I don't know if they're FCS or D2. I want to say they're D2, if I'm not mistaken. And Arkansas State, who's a mid-major, Sun Belt team, which no offense. I know I love me some mid-major, but at Arkansas, that's not good enough. They lose out. They lose to Ole Miss, Memphis, Notre Dame, Tennessee. Notre Dame, I think, got ugly. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, which also is not going to fly at Arkansas. LSU, Texas, and Mizzou, which is the rivalry game. They went, like I said, 2-10, 0-8. I did get 9 games right, 3 games wrong, and I did get the under 5.5 wins correct. The 3 games I got wrong were I had them beating Mississippi State and they lost. I had them beating Mizzou and they lost. And I had them beating Memphis and they lost. Other than that, I had the other 9 losses correct. But like I said, man, the theme of this year was just not being able to finish close games, and it cost the coach's job, and the season went down the drain.
Yeah. With this team with me, it's funny because I know that Alabama A&M is not like a team to look out for, whatever. But Taylor Green popped off with a great game. Like he popped off and had 6 touchdowns in his first game. But far as me, I had them going 5-7, 3-5 in the conference. Like you said, they ended up going 2-10, 0-8. I had a couple of teams. I had another team going 0-8, and they kind of replaced that team. But I had 9 games right, like you said. I had 3 games wrong, and 2 other games I had wrong, Carl. I was this close to getting right. I had the Memphis game
Memphis.
wrong. Oh, and you already talked about it. And I had a Mississippi State game wrong, which you talked about it, when they scored with 2 minutes left. Mississippi State. So, but the other game I had wrong was the Auburn game. I had them being Auburn, and they lost to Auburn. So, yeah, man, it was just a bad season for Arkansas, and yeah, I had them going under 500 though, but 2-10, I did not expect that.
Yeah, nah, that's a terrible year for Arkansas football. Nothing really needs to be said about Arkansas this year. Shout out to Mike Washington, though. I think he did get drafted. But without further ado, we're gonna move on to Auburn. Auburn year, man. I was kind of high on Auburn. I don't remember if he was as high as me, but I was kind of high on him. I thought, Cam Coleman, another receiver I talked about in the offseason, he was in that freshman thing with Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I thought him coming back, they go get Eric Singleton Jr. from Georgia Tech. Jackson Arnold transfers over from Oklahoma. I'm like, all right, he gets a shot for real, because I felt like Oklahoma really wasn't his fault. 6 receivers out of a depth chart get hurt. That's kind of tough to deal with. So I'm like, all right, he comes to Auburn, new situation, good defense. Let's see how they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wrong. I had Auburn going 8-4, 5-3. They went 5-7, 1-7 in SEC play. Only one SEC win, and the one win was to Arkansas, who went 0-8. So is that really a good win? No. And Jackson Arnold, I'm sorry, you were part of the problem again. Yeah. If you changed variables and something is still wrong, then you have to look at the independent variable, which is Jackson Arnold. Learned that from the science fair. Hey man, they do have you do get some knowledge from things that you feel like you're not going to use in real life. But man, Auburn offensively was just inconsistent. It's just flat out. Jackson Arnold was inconsistent. They ended up changing quarterbacks through the season, trying to find a spark. Even like games they could have won, the Georgia game, super close, but offense just fell off the face of the earth in the second half. Bama, if they had better offense, they could have won, but offensively, late game, couldn't get anything done. Bama was able to come back and win. You know how them Iron Bowls get. Iron Bowl gets crazy. But I'm trying to think. I think Mizzou win the overtime.
Overtime.
Yep, and couldn't get anything done offensively. So offense is what really hurt this team. So, I mean, they got a new head coach coming into the season, a new quarterback, new receiver. I love the head coach that they got coming into the year. But again, it's an episode for later down the line. But offense hurt this team. I think defensively, this team was really good. I think it was solid. It's just you get put on the field a ton of times because you can't do nothing offensively, or you're just so inconsistent offensively. Your defense is going to gas out. So I had the over 7.5 incorrect. They didn't make a bowl game, obviously, going 5-7. Well, let me not say that, because a 5-7 school on this episode did make a bowl game because teams opted out and one team took their ball and went home. Some teams had a bunch of injuries and coaching changes. So a 5-7 team did make a bowl game this year, but it just wasn't this 5-7 team. Now, I had 7 games right, 5 games wrong. I predicted them to lose against Baylor. They actually beat Baylor. I predicted them to beat Ball State. They won. Beat South Alabama. They won. Beat Oklahoma. They lost, which I thought they would get. I thought Jackson Arnold get his revenge. Did not. I had them losing to Texas A&M. They lost. Losing to Georgia. They lost. Beating Mizzou. They lost. Beating Arkansas. They won. Beating Kentucky. They lost. Beating Vandy. They lost, which I don't know why I had that at Vandy. That shows you how high I was on Auburn. Beating Mercer and then losing to Bama, 7 games right, 5 games wrong. Talk to me about Auburn, Joe.
Question: Arkansas. What was that over under?
Arkansas was over under 5.5. We both had the under 5.5. Correct.
Dang. Okay, cool. All right. I had under for Auburn. I had 7 wins, even though they were 7.5. It was 7.5. But so this is crazy about. First of all, I was with you. You know, I also mentioned Cam Coleman. I also mentioned Eric Singleton Jr. from Georgia Tech. He said, I know that I mentioned they had 4 consecutive losing seasons, and it was going to stop this year. And then that was 5. It's 5 consecutive losing seasons. All right, because it was the first time that happened since 1947 to 1950. I'm like, they're going to break it this year. Jackson Arnold, I mentioned that he has a better weapons basically, right? But I did mention that he will take a lot of sacks. And I looked it up. He got sacked 30 times. He was 14th in the nation in sacks. All right, so that's not really good. But you know, he remind me of. You know, he reminded me of Josh Allen a little bit. For some reason, when I watched him, he reminded me of Josh Allen. You know, I forgot what game it was. They ended up winning that game. It was a close game.
Auburn. Probably Baylor won the first one of the season.
Yeah, probably was Baylor. Yeah.
Well, he kept running. He didn't really do nothing with his leg. I mean, his arm. He kept beating him with his legs. And I think his name Phoenix Jackson, big tackle for Baylor. He got injured in that game. And that's kind of when they started taking advantage of the run.
Yeah, he definitely kept running. Excuse me. But I got every game right, Carl, except 3. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got Arkansas. Well, sorry, except 4. So I had Arkansas as an L. It was a W. I had Kentucky as a W. It was an L. So it was like a wash, right? Excuse me. But 2 of the wins I had, Carl, they both went to OT. You mentioned it. Missouri went to double overtime, and they lost. The Vanderbilt game, they were going back and forth in that game, and they just stalled out at the end of the game. They could not score. Right? I think they had they went back and forth in the fourth quarter. Sorry, back and forth in the fourth quarter, and then they had the ball last, and they couldn't score.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. So, but everything goes though. I mean, I had them going 7-5. If those 2 overtime games go the way I wanted to go, I would have had a record right. 7-5.
Yeah, man. It'd be heartbreak. I'd be on this game sometimes like, dang, I had 10 games right or 11 games right. And if I'd have why'd I pick this game right here? I could have got it all the way right. It'd be heartbreak, Joe. I get it. So I feel you. But yeah, man, Auburn now in a new direction. But it can't be 6. You can't be 6 straight losing seasons for Auburn after this. But we'll see later on down the line. We're going to move on to another team that was super high on, and they fell flat on their face. But this time I ain't mad, and that is the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators, man, I thought the Lagway era was here. I thought Billy Napier finally got his guys. Lagway, super talented quarterback, steps in for I was about to say Jeff Driscoll. That is not his name. Bro, he went to the Texans. Bro, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on bro's name. It'll come to me. The quarterback that played for Florida that went to the Texans.
Oh, went to the Texans?
Yeah. In 2025, he got drafted in the 6th round to the Texans. I can't remember his name right now. I don't know why Jeff Driscoll keep coming to my head. That is not who I'm talking about. It's not his name. It's not Jeff Driscoll. It's not him. I just can't think of it. It's probably right here on this paper, bro. Hold on. No. Graham Mertz.
Okay.
Graham Mertz.
The Texans?
He played on the Texans. Well, I don't know if he still is now. He got drafted to the Texans in 2025. He could be still there, but he's behind both CJ and Davis Mills. But anyway, I'm like, all right, cool. I think DJ Lagway is a better player. They're bringing guys back. They brought back Trey Wilson. Then I hear a lot about Dallas Wilson. I'm like, all right, cool. Florida might be back this year. Boy, was I wrong. Florida went 4-8, 2-6. Now, again, as a South Carolina fan, happy to see it. As an unbiased CTC guy, for my prediction, kind of sucks. Because I had them going 9-3, 5-3. I had them going to a bowl game again. Because if you remember the year prior, they did stomp Tulane in the bowl game. But Tulane didn't have Darian Mensah. He was already at Duke. He was literally at a Duke basketball game the second the season was over. And that was like before the bowl game. Like I believe they made the championship. Oh, no. They lost to Memphis to not go to the championship. He announced he was going in the portal and literally was at a Duke basketball game like the next day. Shout out to him, though. He got an ACC championship at Duke out of that, so can't say he made the wrong choice. But, yeah, man, this season also got a coach fired. Billy Napier ended up getting fired from Florida this year after this because it just wasn't seeing results. But, yeah, man, just terrible season all across the board. They did show some fight, though, against games like LSU. They had some fight in them. Miami Hurricanes, they had some fight in them. I don't remember the South Florida one being. Oh, no, South Florida was, I mean, they shouldn't have lost. So I can't even say they had some fight in them because you lost the game you shouldn't have lost. But
yeah, I know, that's crazy.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, it just was a bad year for Florida all across the board. They did beat Texas, though, and I called that one that week.
You did call it.
I called that one that week. I said,
you called it preseason, too.
Yeah, in the swamp, I said that's going to be tough. And they did get the Texas win. That's a good win. But overall, man, like I said, they went 4-8, 2-6. I had 7 games right, 5 games wrong. I had the over 7.5 incorrect. They did beat LIU. They lost to South Florida, which I had as a W. They lost to LSU, which I had as a loss. They lost to Miami, which I had as a win. Boy, that looks crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
That looks crazy now. They beat Texas, which I got right. They lost to Texas A&M, which I got right. They beat Mississippi State, which I got right. But then lost to Georgia, which, my defense, that game was close too. Georgia literally had to go for it and take a knee. And like I said, that clean up, that's not clean old fashioned.
I think they were up too, like most of the game, right?
Yeah, Georgia had to come back and win. Yeah. That's the bar, the world's largest bar. That's the name of it is the world's largest bar something. But anyway, that game was close. Those games are always close. And I just thought Florida, was going to be really good and win it this year. Unfortunately, well, not really. But anyway, they lost. I had them beat Kentucky. They lost. I had them losing to Ole Miss. I had them beating Tennessee. They lost. That's because Tennessee has not beat Florida in the swamp in years.
You mentioned that, and they got
years.
They got punished 31.
Yeah, and they finally got over the curse. They finally got over the swamp curse. And then I had them beating Florida State, which they actually did win. Joe, talk to me about Florida.
It's funny. I got that highlighted. Can't win in the swamp, and they got murdered.
They got it done.
Yeah, I had them win that game. Man, Florida, I had them going 6-6. So far, Carl, I'm 4-4 on the over and under. Right now, I'm 4-4 on the over and under. But what do I say? So right now we are looking. They went 4-8, like I said, like you said, but I had them going 6-6. I had them going 3-5 in the SEC, but they went 2-6, like you said. Now the games I had them beating Long Island, I had them beating Florida, and they lost. South Florida. I'm about to say LSU, where they lost to, who was another disappointing team. I must admit, we're gonna get to Miami. I had them win against Miami.
All right, I ain't the only one.
All right, that's an L. I had them losing to Texas. That was a W. So that kind of washed it right there. Texas A&M, I had them losing. They lost. I had them beating Mississippi State. I had them losing to Georgia. I had them beating Kentucky because I had Kentucky being one like literally on the bottom of the barrel of this conference. Also I had them losing to Ole Miss, and just like you, I took your advice. I had them losing. Now, actually, I had them losing Tennessee before you mentioned it, and then I had them losing to Florida State, but they won. So, as far as record wise, I was 2 games off. But as far as how many I got right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only got 5 right. I did mention last preview that the QB was number 1 QB out of high school, and I felt like they would have a talented offense. And boy, I was,
we both. Well, I thought it was about to go down. I thought DJ was about to have it go crazy. Not DJ, not even at Florida no more. He at Baylor, so I guess it did go down just the wrong way.
DJ,
we'll move on for Florida to their rival Georgia. We gotta talk about the Bulldogs, man. Another successful year for Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. They had a better year than I thought they would have. I didn't think they would be trash or anything. I just, I thought there'd be a little slippage. Going from and I don't mean this in a bad way because y'all you know me, I'm not super crazy about Carson Beck, but going from Carson Beck to Gunnar Stockton, I thought there might be a slight drop off. Like I said, I was already not high on Carson Beck, so a drop off from Gunnar Stockton, I was a little worried about. But man, this run game, Nate Frazier put the team on his back. They had like 3-4 different running backs they could have used, and they could have all featured, and they could have all went for 1,000 if they were featured, in my opinion. Little disappointed in how they kept using Zach Branch, but I feel like that was because of Gunnar Stockton's skill set more so than Zach Branch's skill set. Defensively, you know what you're going to get from a Georgia team. Nasty defensive team, so no shocker there. But ultimately, great season. They won the SEC, as we discussed in the Bama segment, because they beat Bama in the SEC title game 28-7. Absolutely dominated them to the point where a lot of people didn't even want to see Bama in the college football playoffs because of how bad they performed against that Georgia team in the playoff. But unfortunately for Georgia, after receiving a first-round bye for winning the SEC, they did lose the Sugar Bowl to Ole Miss 39-34, which that game was amazing. That game was so fun to watch. Shout out to them for that game, but unfortunately came out on the losing side of that. I had Georgia going 9-3, 5-3, not making the playoffs. They went 11-1, 7-1. Their only loss this year was to Bama in the regular season, which I did have. I actually had them losing to Bama at home in the preseason. I had them beating Marshall, beating Austin Peay, which they did do that. Beating Tennessee, they won. Losing to Bama, they lost. Beating Kentucky, they won. Beating Auburn, they won. Beating Ole Miss, they won. Losing to Florida, they won. Beating Mississippi State, they won. Losing to Texas, they won. Beating Charlotte, and then beating Georgia Tech, which that Georgia Tech game, yet again, was another good game. Georgia Tech got to eventually take one. I don't know when it's going to happen, but they eventually got to beat Georgia. Them games been too close. Last year, 16-9 ball game. The year before that was 6, 7, 8 overtimes, or however many overtimes that was the year prior. So Georgia Tech got to get one. But I got 10 games right, 2 games wrong. Obviously, the 2 games I got wrong with 2 losses. I did get the under 9.5 incorrect. Joe, talk to me about Georgia.
All right, I had them going 10-2, so I got the over correct. Got the over correct. I need to bet on these Jones, dang. But
look, I bet on 6. I got 5 right. The one I got wrong was Iowa State because of the injuries.
Yeah, injuries you can't control. Yeah. So I had them going 10-2. I had every game right except for the extra loss. I had on them. Literally, I had every win right. I had the loss to Alabama right, and I had them losing to Ole Miss, which they almost did, but Ole Miss went blank the last 2 possessions.
They so the whole fourth quarter. They scored on their first 5 drives, quarters 1 through 3. Fourth quarter hit, couldn't score.
But it's all good because it worked out for Ole Miss for me, and also it worked out for Ole Miss in the playoffs. So, but. Georgia, I did mention, and you mentioned the defense is going to be elite, like it always is. They were 10th scoring defense in the whole nation, so they always going to have a good defense. Now, I was worried about Gunnar Stockton also, and I also mentioned Nate Frazier was going to have to, carry the load. And like you said, he almost had 1,000 yards. He had 940, and but the offense did take a dip. They were 50th, literally 50th in total offense. All right, they was right at the edge. They almost didn't show up. So, yeah. But I do think that Georgia still had a good season. They won the SEC, like you said. But they ended up losing to Ole Miss. But they lost to Ole Miss because you got Trinidad going against Gunnar. I mean, it is what it is. Trinidad was hot. Like he was hot this playoff run, or this season. He had a really good season. So, shout out to Georgia. I mentioned on the preview also Kirby Smart was the best coach, and you corrected me. And we all see who the best coach is,
Hey man, I tell people, man, I'm not saying it because he won the national championship. I've been saying it before.
So shout out to Carl for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I wish Michigan State would have listened. It would have been me celebrating the national championship instead of looking at Indiana. But it's all good.
Oh man, oh man.
Bro, I'd have, whoo, well, I might just be getting out of jail. But anyway, yeah, great season by Georgia. We'll talk about more about Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss segment because that'll be coming up shortly. But yeah, another great season by Georgia. I mean, I feel like just like Bama fans, a Georgia fan might say, man, it wasn't no great season. What you talking about? We ain't win no national championship. That's just being spoiled, bro. Stop being spoiled and take seasons for what they are. Because you made the playoff a great year. You lost to a team that lost to the eventual runner-up, and you won the SEC. So be happy.
And you lost to a team that almost beat you in the regular season.
Yeah, they literally went cold. Like, well, I don't want to say they went cold because that would be kind of taking credit away from the Georgia defense. I feel like Georgia defense did, like, fourth quarter, like, figure it out. But, I mean, it's not like you lost to a team that sucked. You lost to a very high-powered offense. So, shout out to them for a great season. We'll move on to Kentucky. Kentucky, man. Talk about it. Another coach gets fired in the SEC. Mark Stoops gets fired this year. And it's funny enough because in the preview episode, I remember talking about how Mark Stoops' contract is set up to where if he hits a certain amount of wins, they give him money and stuff like that. And I'm like, I think he's going to be at Kentucky he was at Kentucky for a long time, but I thought he was going to like retire at Kentucky because it's not. When you think Kentucky, you don't think football, obviously. You think basketball. And for him to be just solid in the SEC of all places at Kentucky, they kind of respect it. But they said, nah, Carl. We went 4-8, 1-7 last year. I had them going 3-9, 0-8. I had them being trash, which I wasn't too far off. They actually went 5-7, 2-6. But they said, nah, we don't accept this right here. And they let them go. So the Mark Stoops era is over. And, I forgot who their head coach is. But anyway, that's irrelevant. We're talking about reviewing this season. Now, Zach Calzada transferred in. And I told y'all I was not big on that. And he didn't do good. I mean, Kentucky just didn't do good in general. They did almost beat Ole Miss, though. I will give them that. But turnovers and Austin Simmons for Ole Miss got hurt and Trinidad Chambliss stepped in. And now we know Ole Miss is the Trinidad Chambliss era. So, unfortunate injury. But they wish they kept him healthy. But that game ended up being a nail. It's just Kentucky's unfortunate. They're like Kansas, but in the SEC. It's just very unfortunate you're in the SEC, bro. And now the SEC, I don't know if you knew this, but previous to Texas and Oklahoma joining, the SEC was in two divisions, the East and the West. And they were kind of in the easier of the two divisions, the East, where, at most you had to play is Georgia, maybe Florida, depending on the year. And now there is no East and West. Like the West was Auburn, Bama, Texas A&M, Arkansas. Vandy was East, I believe, because the East was like South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, I believe Vandy, Mizzou, and themselves. So the East was easier than the West. Like the West is a gauntlet. The East, you got to face one, maybe two teams. Now everybody is a gigantic cluster. So you could be playing Georgia, Bama, which this schedule was not, but they played Texas, Auburn, Florida, Vandy, which Vandy's good, Ole Miss, which was in the West. So you get what you get at 5-7, 2-6. I did have the under 4.5 incorrect by the hook. It sucks, but I had them beating Toledo, which they won. I had them losing to Ole Miss, they lost. Beating Eastern Michigan, they won. Losing to South Carolina, they lost. Losing to Georgia, they lost. Losing to Texas, they lost. Losing to Tennessee, they lost. I had them losing to Auburn, which they won. Losing to Florida, which they won. Beating Tennessee Tech, which they won. Losing to Vandy and Louisville, which they lost both games. Those two SEC wins flipped it. I had 10 games right, 2 games wrong. Talk to me about Kentucky, Joe.
Man, I had the exact identical record you had. 3-9, 0-8. So this is my first L on the over and under. So I picked under and they went over. And he still got fired, which is crazy. They exceed expectations from the public and then he got fired. So,
Yep.
but I wasn't high on them at all going into this year. I did mention that they beat Ole Miss last year, the year prior. I did mention that they had a 4-8 record last year. You mentioned that already. So I wasn't really high on them because I did think they addressed the O line in the portal, but they lost their top two receivers. They also what's up? Oh yeah, like you said, back in the SEC, Zach
Zach
Kyle,
Calzada.
yeah, Calzado. All right, so but the games I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games right. And the two games I got wrong are the two games that made a difference. Like
Yep.
literally. So and the two games I got wrong was two L's, Auburn and Florida, and they won both of those games.
Yep. Same thing
Mhm.
as me. So we had the same identical thing with Kentucky. So
Yeah.
shout out y'all for ruining our perfect prediction. Unfortunate.
For
Very
real,
unfortunate.
man.
But
And they beat Auburn 10-3. Like Auburn scored 3 points, but they beat the brakes on Florida though, 38-7.
yeah, I know that was a surprise.
Yeah, after
That
what
was a
Florida did to
surprise.
us too.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
That was very much surprising. But yeah, like you said, not behind them, then you lose Barian Brown and Dane Key. So Barian Brown went to LSU, Dane Key went to Nebraska. Just not much there at Kentucky. And now they have to, reset everything, which I can't remember. I don't remember nothing from Kentucky this offseason. So might be a more of the same for me in terms of Kentucky next season. So but we'll
Looking
move forward.
forward to it.
Okay. Move forward to LSU.
This thing.
Not gonna lie. I thought I was higher on them than I was. LSU was coming off a 9-4, 5-3 season, but a lot of promise, bringing a lot of guys back, bringing back Garrett Nussmeier, who could have went to the league the year prior, bringing back, well, obviously he was a freshman the year prior, but Caden Dorman, the running back, bringing back Zai Alexander, transferring in Mansour Delaney, who I was super high on the preseason because I watched him play with Dorian Strong at Virginia Tech. Then you had some receivers coming in, mixing in with Barian Brown, a lot of speed for LSU. The offense was supposed to be dynamic, and actually, the offense was horrendous. And at first, the game against Clemson, which they did end up winning, you're like, okay, battle of two defensive teams, two teams that's going to be really good. Both in the Clemson I had winning the national championship, but both teams possibly fighting for a playoff spot. All right, whatever. You're going against a good defense, it happens. But then it just continues and continues. And now you're wondering what's wrong with this offense. Why can't it ignite? You hear later that Garrett Nussmeier possibly was dealing with some spinal injuries. Don't know if that's true or not, obviously, because I have no insight. I'm nowhere near. As a car, loud modified car drives by. I don't know if y'all heard that, but but yeah, the offense has never clicked. So very unfortunate. I had LSU going 9-3, 6-2. They went 7-5, 3-5. Did not see a losing record in the SEC. I did get the over 8.5 wrong. This is one of the times where I did a mid job picking games. I got 6 games right, 6 games wrong, literally mid 500. I did pick them to lose to Clemson, which they actually won. I picked them to beat Louisiana Tech. They won. Picked them to beat Florida. They won. Picked them to beat Southeast Louisiana. They won. Picked them to beat Ole Miss. They lost, which that game was a good one. Ole Miss made some plays late to swing the game. And I remember not LSU, Lane Kiffin did not know at the time that Lane Kiffin's daughter was dating Whit Weeks, the linebacker for LSU. So I remember like that smack talk, but I had them losing to South Carolina. They won. Thought South Carolina was going to get some revenge. Didn't happen. I had them beating Vandy. They lost. And look, all right here, I kept battling myself back and forth. At first, I put a win for Vandy. I mean, a win for LSU. I was like, nah, I got Vandy winning. They had Vandy. I got a loss. But then I scribbled it out again. I put a W. So literally was battling with myself in that game. Should have went with my second mind, not my first. But it is what it is. That's just hindsight. I had them beating Texas A&M at home. They lost. I had them losing to Bama. They lost. Beating Arkansas, they won. Beating Western Kentucky, they won. And then I had them beating Oklahoma, which they lost. Again, going 7-5, 3-5. They did lose the Texas Bowl to Houston, which that was a good game. Houston was up, I want to say like 14 or 17 late, and LSU scored 2 touchdowns. Can't remember if they scored. I think they actually scored to tie it at 35, and then Houston hit a field goal to win it. But that was a good game against a really good Houston team that ended up winning 10 games this year. Shout out Willie Fritz, another coach I said was really good, and he got Houston their best season since like 2021. But yeah, man, LSU very disappointing year, and I think a lot of it had to do with the offense. Trey Green is like a 6'5" tight end. They couldn't figure out how to get him the football in the red zone for some strange reason. But yeah, Joe, talk to me about LSU.
LSU, man, one of the most disappointed teams that I predicted. Take the truth, because I had them going 10-2, 7-1 in the conference. They went 7-6 and 3-5. So that 3-5 record in the conference is horrendous. To my standards, I had them going 7-1. So and one thing I was big on, I'm like, they went under 10 games for the first time in the Brian Kelly era. They are not going to do this again, you know. and sure enough, 2 times in a row, and he got fired.
Yep, right? I forgot to mention that. Another coach. That's the 4th coach in the SEC that got fired this year.
Yeah, so he got fired. I had them losing that Clemson game, but Carl, I remember watching that Clemson game live, and I was like, "Yo, I spoiler alert, he was one of my candidates of being player of the year." And that the offense did not look good to me. And then, like you said, they play Louisiana Tech, then they play Florida, then they play what's that? Southeast
Louisiana.
But then when they play, you look at their offense, you look at the scores, they really ain't putting up points. You know, they lost, put up 13 against Oklahoma, 10, 22. They won 23-22. They put up 9 against Alabama. They lost 49-25. They put up 24 against Vanderbilt. They won 20-10. So that they didn't really have those high scoring games that I expect them to have this year. You know, because I mentioned in the preview that they're going to be in a bunch of shootouts. And that's why I had Nussmeier being that candidate, because he's going to have a lot of opportunities to throw the ball. And he had a down year. And he suffered an injury. Like I said, he mentioned an injury. He did suffer an injury, but he had a down year from last year. I did see that his completion percentage and his touchdown and interception ratio was better, but his yards per game was way down last year. So the games I got wrong was because I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm above average. I got a little bit above average, right? But I got Clemson wrong. I had them losing. They won. I had Ole Miss wrong. I had them winning, and they lost. I also had Vanderbilt wrong. I had them winning, and they lost. Shout out to Vanderbilt. We're going to get to them, too. Texas A&M, I had that wrong. I had them winning. They lost. And Oklahoma, I had them winning, and they lost. So all the ones I got wrong, they lost.
Yeah. Speaking of the Florida game, I think Florida, that game, the defense won that game. I want to say Florida had like 5 turnovers or something like that in that game, and it was, like you said, 20-10 win. So Florida, I remember, I think Florida committed a bunch of turnovers to lose that game. But man, like you said, LSU is very disappointing offensively. You said you had Nussmeier as a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. I had him as my Offensive Player of the Year for LSU.
No,
he was my Offensive Player of the Year.
I had him winning too.
Yeah, so
but I know he's gonna go over it. I didn't want to mention it, but I had him.
We ain't mentioned who actually won it, so it's fine. But yeah, I had him for mine too in the preseason, and boy, were we wrong.
And you're right. Florida had 5 turnovers.
Yep, I remember that game. I remember that one being like Florida is just trying to lose this game,
and they only lost 20-10. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But funny enough, the Lane Kiffin era is now starting at LSU because, again, the LSU Ole Miss game, his daughter with Weeks, now he's at LSU. And it was kind of he had some comments. Real quick, I'm gonna say this real quick. I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this until I found out. So the week about that, Lane Kiffin was talking about wanting to leave Ole Miss, which is BS. I mean, he was like, it was racist, which I don't doubt that. But you stayed there 6 years. It's like, bro, okay, now that you left 6 years later, this is coming out. Like, if you really felt that strongly, you wouldn't have stayed 6 years. But anyway, it comes out that the LSU Tiger is from Confederacy roots. It's named after like a Confederate like troop thing.
I mean, Louisiana, man. I mean,
yeah. So like you leave one racist to the Ole Miss Rebel, and they got the Confederate flag in the middle of campus. Which if you've been there 6 years, I know you know this.
Is that Baton Rouge?
Louisiana, yes. LSU.
No, say LSU was in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. So now the Tiger of LSU is apparently named after the Confederate thing. So looks like you left one racist thing for another. Sometimes you just got to keep it real and just state the fact that LSU is a better job than Ole Miss. It just is what it is. If you'd have left it at that, things like that probably wouldn't have came out. But
that's so funny though.
I never knew that. I seen it after, and somebody said, I'm like, nah, that ain't real. Let me go. That's literally what is wrong.
No, look,
bro.
It's not funny that's the
I get what you're saying.
It's funny because he left for that reason and he didn't know. So now what's your excuse now? Like, what's gonna be your excuse now?
Like we know what it is, bro. Like that's why I say you might as well just kept it real, bro. LSU is a better job than Ole Miss. Point blank, period. Football wise, you probably got way more resources, way more access to better recruits. At Ole Miss, you had to turn Ole Miss back up. I mean, Ole Miss was turned up at one part due to Hugh Freeze and the boys, but yeah, not Hugh Freeze. Was it? Yeah, I think it was Hugh Freeze. You had to turn Ole Miss back. Now I'm about to be mad at myself. I'm sorry. I have to Google just to make sure. I want to say that was you. That was Hugh Freeze, right? Because
didn't he say that if he was there, they would have beat they would have won
Miami?
Yeah. He said
I don't remember him saying that, but I wouldn't be surprised of him saying that either, though. That sounds like a Lane Kiffin quote. And I still rock with Lane Kiffin, but I just wish he'd have kept it a buck. Yeah, Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss, and he was at Ole Miss and Auburn, so no, I wasn't tripping. But yeah, I wish he'd have just kept it a buck. But hey, I learned something from him not doing that, so can't really be too mad. But we'll move on from one situation to somebody who is, I'm pretty sure, is on the hot seat this year coming up. And that is Jeff Lebby and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now, he did not get fired, which I think I said in my preview he was going to get fired. Because I think because he went the year prior, he went 2-10, 0-8. Albeit, though, the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss that year was very competitive. And it was, I got to say, for the most part, the Egg Bowl this year against Ole Miss was very competitive. But I had them going 3-9, 0-8. And I wasn't that far off. They went 5-7, 1-7. Their only win, you guessed it, the Arkansas Razorbacks, who went 0-8 in SEC play. So Jeff Lebby, he might be a good guy, but good guys in the SEC don't mix if they don't give results. And he's 1-15 in the SEC his first 2 years at Mississippi State. Which I get it. Mississippi State might be one of the worst jobs in the SEC. Is it the worst? It might be the worst. Because I don't know. Kentucky might be a better job than Mississippi State. That's tough. But he's still there. And this is the team I'm talking about that went 5-7 and made a bowl game. They did lose said bowl game. They lost to Wake Forest.
Wake Forest.
I was about to say, shout out to Wake Forest. You're not a Wake Forest fan in football, but shout out to Wake Forest. Kamario Taylor at quarterback did get hurt in that game late, though, so it's not the reason why they lost. They were already losing. They lost 43-29 to Duke's Mayo Bowl. Again, in that bowl game, when you win, you lose. The winning head coach in that bowl game gets mayo, a Gatorade cooler of mayo dumped on his head. So did you really win?
Yeah. You always say that, too.
I mean, I love the bowl game, but I ain't gonna lie. If I win that game, you're not dumping. I don't care. F bowl tradition. You are not dumping mayonnaise on me.
Yeah, that's one of the games you gotta be on the head on the swivel. You got
no, it's not that. They literally sit you there. Your team is around you. And yeah, I'm not doing it though. I'm sorry. Love y'all boys. No. But yeah, just another bad season for Mississippi State. They did get a good win though. The Arizona State game. Good win. Shouldn't have won. Arizona State fought hard to come back. Got the go ahead touchdown. How do you let somebody get behind the defense that late in the game, Arizona State? Brennan Thompson got behind the defense for the game-winning touchdown for Mississippi State. And that was like their best win of the year.
Dang.
Really good win at home. They beat Southern Miss, which was I had them winning. That's a solid Sun Belt team. I'll talk about them next episode next week. Alcorn State, they won. I had them winning. Northern Illinois, they won. I had them winning. They lost every other game except for, like I said, the Arkansas game, which I did have them losing, and they won. So shout out to them for that. So I got 10 games right, 2 games wrong. Thank you, Arizona State. Could have had 11 games right, 1 game wrong, which I think I'd rather have 10 and 2, because if I'd had 11 and 1, I'd have probably crashed out. I almost had a perfect season. But yeah, I had the Arizona State and the Arkansas games wrong. Jeff Levy got to fix it, man. Got to fix it. Fluff Barthwell, I think he had a great year for them, the running back, transfer from South Alabama. But I think he needs better quarterback play, and he got to get some weapons on offense. But again, it's tough in the SEC for them to prosper. Long are the days of Dak Man and Robinson. Dak Prescott, and I believe his name was James Robinson, but not the James Robinson that you're probably thinking of. But talk to me about Mississippi State, Joe.
It's the same like you. I had them going 3-9, 0-8 in the conference. I had 10 games right, like you said, and 2 wrong. The ones I had wrong was Arizona State and Arkansas. So in the Arkansas, they lost 38-35, which is crazy. And I look at my notes, what I mentioned in the preview. I did mention that also Bothwell. I said Bothwell will have a good year, and like you said, he had a good year. But also Booth, also that tandem was good too between those two. And I mentioned how they had the worst defense in the SEC in 2024. In 2025, they had the second worst. Right, defense. So they in the SEC, they allow 456 yards per game in 2024, which is crazy. They allowed 400 last year. So they did better than I expected. I fell on the over and under. It's crazy, Carl. I said I need to start betting on these things. As soon as I said that, I lost the next 3.
It's all good, bro.
I got the first 5 right.
Wrong too.
I got the first 5 right and the next 3 wrong so far. So I'm 5-3. But yeah, so like I said, they did a little better. Like you said, that was their best win against Arizona State, and they beat Arkansas, who I thought will be better than them, but Arkansas ended up being worse than them. So yeah.
Yeah, it was Josh Robinson, excuse me, not James Robinson. Dak Man and Josh Robinson.
Yeah,
longer those days when Mississippi State actually had a number 1 in the country ranking with Dak Prescott.
Shout out to Dak.
Yeah, shout out to Dak, man. But yeah, Jeff Levy, you're in the hot seat, my guy. And if you don't change and get something done, this might be your first of all, this not only might be your last season at Mississippi State, it might be your last season for a while as a head coach.
Dang.
I mean, if he does have a season that's replicated to this, it'd be what 2-24, not 24, 2-22
in the
conference record.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, unless a mid-major school takes a chance. Granted, he's put in a position to lose. I'm not stupid enough to not acknowledge that he was put in a position to fail. But failing in a position to fail is not like a lot of coaches or programs, they're not going to have sympathy for you. So, because more than likely, when you get fired and looking for another job, that's because another coach got fired because they're not in a great position. So you failing in a position to fail is not going to be like, well, we see what you had to deal with. Because no, you're probably going to deal with the same situation for the next job. So it's unfortunate, very unfortunate. But we'll move on to a coach that's been having some success lately. And I know I gave a school prior in Kentucky, the excuse that you're not in the SEC East no more, and it's harder for you to get games. But who else was in the SEC East? The Mizzou Tigers. And Mizzou came off a 10-win season, 10-3, 5-3. And Mizzou's not a a known football school. Like they had some years where Jeremy Macklin and Chase Daniels, you know, and then Matty Mock, and then went to a SEC championship game where South Carolina almost won the SEC East that year, but we didn't. So they had some moments. But Eli Drinkwitz, man, ever since I took a shot, I don't even want to say I took a shot, because I said I respect him as a coach, but his program is just not good enough. He been ready to also win the season, so I can't be mad at him. He had the year where they beat Ohio State in the bowl game, where Cal McCord was there. Then last year he beat Iowa. Not last year, the year prior to the year we were reviewing, he beat Iowa in the Music City Bowl, 27-24, another Big Ten school. He lost anyway this year. But I was about to say, I had to realize. I was like, dang, he played another, but no, he played Virginia this year. But made another bowl game, 8-4, 4-4. I had him going 6-6, 2-6. So I again kind of disrespected the Alpha Nerd, and well, that's not my nickname for him. Shout out Cover 3, they call him that. But another over under wrong. I had the under the 6.5 wrong. They actually hit the over. I want to say this was a good year. I was a little nervous because this is like the first year without what's his name? Brady Cook. Brady Cook was at the helm the last 2 years when they had them good seasons at Mizzou. Little nervous about Bo Pribula taking over from Penn State. And I think he did a solid job. He definitely added that extra dimension running the football, but the MVP of the offense, in my opinion, Ahmad Hardy, led the SEC in yards after contact. I believe he led the SEC in rushing yards in general.
Yeah, he did.
Had a great season coming from where he came from. I want to say he came from like New Mexico State. No, was it New Mexico State? No, I can't remember right now. But he was a group of 5 school transfer. I do remember that. But and get well soon, Ahmad Hardy. He got shot in the offseason this year. Hopefully a speedy recovery, not even just to get back on the field this year, just in life in general. Unfortunate situation. Apparently one of his high school former teammates shot him for whatever reason. But man, he was looking good to possibly have an NFL career, and I'm hoping he can get back on track to pursuing that. But yeah, he was MVP, in my opinion, of this offense this year. Do I have him? No, I don't even have it written down right here. But yeah, I think offensively they were really good. Kevin Coleman is a receiver transfer from Mississippi State. I think they were really good offensively. Defensively, they were solid as well. Zion Young, now a Raven, had a really good year for them off the edge. I think they were really solid defensively. A really good season. Now, they had some games they could have possibly won. The Alabama game, that was a tightly contested game. They were on a move late to possibly win it. I believe Pribula threw a pick to lose that one late ball game. Yep. Pribula threw a pick late ball game to lose that one. Auburn was the one that they were tightly in and won. I believe the Vandy game, too, if I'm not mistaken, was super tightly contested. I want to say that Pribula get hurt in this one. Somebody, I think, got hurt in the Vandy game. They ended up losing that one.
He did get hurt. Yeah, he did hurt.
Pribula got hurt in that one and lost it. Texas A&M, they lost that one at home. They had some tightly contested ball games. But ultimately, I think this is another great season for Mizzou. 8 wins, make a bowl. You lose said bowl game and a defensive slugfest for whatever reason against UVA. UVA defense came to play that day. Did a great job of keeping Ahmad Hardy in check. They lost the Gator Bowl 13-7 to UVA, which UVA was a 10-win school, if I'm not mistaken. Made the ACC championship game appearance. Did lose the ACC championship to Duke, as I mentioned earlier, with Darian Mensah, but not a bad team to lose to. Just didn't think that they would only score 7 points. But yeah, man, another good season for the Tigers. I had 8 games right, 4 games wrong. I had them beating Central Arkansas, they won. Beating Kansas, they won. They won. Beating Louisiana, they won. I had them losing to South Carolina, they won. I think South Carolina, this game, every third down, just could not get off the field. It was so annoying. UMass, I had them beating them, they won. Losing to Bama, they lost. Losing to Auburn, they won. Losing to Vandy, they lost. Losing to Texas A&M, they lost. Beating Mississippi State, they won. I had them beating Oklahoma, they lost. And losing to Arkansas, which they won. Again, going 8-4, 4-4. Talking to me, Joe.
Oof. Now, Mizzou made me proud. It's one of my predictions. I almost got to the T. Now, I did get 4 games wrong, but I got the record correct. 8-4 total overall record. 4-4 conference record, which I got right. I also mentioned in the preview, that the running game of Ahmad Hardy is going to carry them, have a really good season. Like you said, he was second in rushing yards with 1649 in the nation, and he was fifth in rushing TDs with 16. He had a really good year statistically, one of the best running backs in the nation. So shout out to him for that. And like you said, they had two straight. Uh, they had 10 plus win season, finished top 25 in 2 straight years. So I did not see them winning 10 plus wins again, but I did see 8. Right. So and then like the Alabama game you talked about, that's one of the games I had them winning. They ended up losing in that interception in the game. I had them losing to Auburn and they beat Auburn. I had them winning against Texas A&M and they lost, but I had them beating, losing to South Carolina and they won. So, but it all worked out. At the end of the day, I had the over. I got it right exactly on the mark. And yeah, I like when I was doing this, I was proud. Like, yes, I got this. Like, I got the prediction on the record right, and I got the who's going to stand out right was the running back, and he had a really good year. So shout out to Missouri.
Definitely, he was 10 yards behind Cam Cook of Jack State, which I don't remember if they counted Cam Cook's conference championship game yardage towards that or not. Because if they did, then he had an extra game, obviously. But if they didn't, I don't think they counted the bowl game yardage, so that's fine. But if he didn't, then shout out to Cam Cook. He literally just led the nation all 12 games. But some might say, well, he had Jack State, lesser conference. Yeah. It don't matter. It don't matter, bro. You still led the nation in rushing. But
people won't say that.
Yeah. But for Ahmad Hardy to do that in the SEC, and shout out Quan Lacey, which we'll talk. I think he's next, actually. No, he's not. 2 from now. Quan Lacey was third. So shout out to him. But we'll move forward from Mizzou to a playoff team, and that is the Oklahoma Sooners, which, boy, you want to talk about getting kicked in the nuts. That is me right here. I was not high on Oklahoma this year. I was high on John Mateer. I like John Mateer transferring from Washington State. Just wasn't high on the rest of Oklahoma. I liked R. Mason Thomas too, because I watched a lot of him the year previous. I did like R. Mason Thomas. But shout out to Oklahoma, because the guy who I thought was going to be featured at running back didn't even play for real, and that's Jaden Ott. Didn't even play. No. And now he's at Kansas City. Hopefully, makes the team, but didn't even play. So shout out to them for that. They did lose my guy too. My guy got drafted to the Saints, and Danny Stuntsman. And they lost my guy Billy Bowman, who played with the Falcons, who had a good year. Him and Xavier Watts. I try to tell people about Xavier Watts too from Notre Dame. Good year, Atlanta. But they lost some pieces. They did, like I said, they did bring back some guys I like, but I just ultimately I ain't didn't add it up. But obviously, again, I was wrong, so I'll take it. I had Oklahoma going 5-7, 1-7. They went 10-2, 6-2. So obviously I was wrong when they under 7.5. Very good season for Oklahoma, in my opinion. Because not only did they make the playoff, they were able. Now, granted, the timing of the injury was very, I don't want to say good, because you don't want to say injury was good, but the timing of it was good, because when John Mateer got hurt, they were in the middle of playing Temple, Auburn, and Kent State. Auburn wasn't that good. Temple, American conference team who plays no defense. Like, Temple sucks. Sorry, Temple just sucks. And then Kent State the year previous was 0-12 in the MAC. So they were like probably one of the worst college football teams ever the year previous. So you're not worried about them at Oklahoma. So that was probably the perfect time to have an injury. And I mean, he was supposed to be out the Red River rivalry against Texas. I feel like he rushed himself back for that game because of how big that game is. They ended up losing, which I did have as a loss in the preseason. But great season, man. Great season. Make the playoffs. Did blow the playoff game against Bama at home. Gerald McCoy and the guys was there. Gerald McCoy was pissed after the game. he was so mad they had 50 Cent perform Many Men. He's like, man, it turned up Bama more than it turned up us. Why would we have him play that song? And yeah, they lost that joint. But 10-win season at Oklahoma, very good. Obviously, especially coming off a 6-win season the year prior. And they were kind of in contention for a playoff game. I mean, not playoff game, the SEC championship game. They were right there. Tiebreaker didn't fall their way, but it is what it is. They beat Bama, so they were like, man, we should have gotten. We beat Bama because Bama was in, but it's just unfortunate the tiebreaker didn't fall your way. But great season. Material had a good season defensively. I think defensively they were really solid. They were way better than I thought they would be defensively. The run game was kind of inconsistent. I felt like they didn't. Well, they were dealing with some injuries at running back too, but I don't feel like they really truly knew who their number one running back was, which led to the inconsistency running the football. And Material injury, I feel like affected him against better teams. I feel like he did, like I said, I felt like he rushed himself back, which kind of hindered him from being as good as he can be. But like I said, 10 wins, can't sneeze at that. So shout out to I think Brent Venables is the head coach, if I'm not mistaken, and the Oklahoma Sooners for getting that for that season that they had. And Brent Venables having a better season than Dabo Sweetie. But anyway, I had them beating Illinois State, they won. I had them beating Michigan. Shout out to them for that. Beating Temple, they won. Losing to Auburn, they won. Beating Kent State, they won. I had them losing to Texas, they lost. Losing to South Carolina, they won. That segment is when I heard. Losing to Ole Miss, they lost. Beating Tennessee, they won. Losing to Alabama, they won. Losing to Mizzou, they won. And losing to LSU, they won. So I can see it right now. The reason why I was so low on Oklahoma is because I was higher on other teams. I was high on LSU in preseason. They weren't as good as I thought. The Mizzou game, can't explain that, to be honest with you. But hey, we'll move forward. I had them losing to Bama, which I was high on Bama. We both were. Which Bama had a good year, and the Bama lost that. Bama lost that game because of stupid mistakes that Bama made. You had the muff punt return that set up Oklahoma to score. You had, I believe it was a safety or Ty Simpson did something stupid that gave Oklahoma either the ball and like deep in their own and Bama territory or like points. I remember Ty Simpson did something stupid in that game, and then the drive to go and win it, Ty Simpson throws a pick. So
yeah,
Bama beat themselves in my opinion in that Oklahoma game. And then the South Carolina lost. Super high South Carolina. And they did me dirty. So
yeah.
So that's kind of explains the Oklahoma record. That's like what? 1, 2, 3 explained losses. That would have made it 8-4, which was better than 5-7. But like I said, I obviously got the under 7.5 wrong. And like I said, they lost 34-24 in the first round of the playoff. Joe, talk to me about Bama.
I had them Oklahoma. I had them.
Yeah.
I had them going 7-5, 3-5 in the conference. I got 9 games right, and the 3 games I got wrong was the difference maker. So like, I didn't get no no games that washed. So the games I had wrong, I had South Carolina wrong. I don't know why. I think I felt some sympathy for you. I probably got dead because I'm looking at these records, man. It's like I had a lot of teams losing in South Carolina. So, cause y'all got a tough schedule. I think I mentioned that in the preview. You had a tough schedule.
Schedule. The year previous went 9-3. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're gonna get to them soon too. South Carolina, I had them losing to, and they won. Ole Miss, they lost. Not picking them to lose. Alabama. Now, I'm not mad at that one. You know what I mean? Like, they beat Alabama. Alabama only had one loss of the year, and that was against them. But the LSU one, like, I'm with you. The teams that I picked against them for them to lose were, like, I was high. Like, 2 of the 3 teams I had them losing to that I got wrong. 2 of them I was so high on. Like, I was compared to what they really were.
Mm-hmm.
LSU and South Carolina. That's why I'm not mad at the Alabama one, because that's a good win. Shout out to y'all. Good job, Oklahoma. But I had them losing to South Carolina, and after seeing what happened, it's like, same thing with LSU. Like, so. But like I said, I had the over, and I got that right. So
hold on now, brother. You with me, my boy? The over under was 7.5.
Oh, is it was 7.5? I want
Yeah,
6.5.
I got 7.5 on my paper, bro.
Oh, snap. I got 6.5 of mine. Oklahoma?
Yeah,
Oh, I got that wrong then. Dang. What I
yeah. I'm
get
about to say you
6.5
with me,
from?
brother. The hook got you. The hook got you the first, like to beat me early in the episode, but the hook got you with me this time.
Oh, I got the paper from the I'm sorry. I thought that okay. All right, cool. All right, yeah. And as far as the team, um, they won. Did they go? They won 6-7 the year prior.
Yeah, they went
Yeah, it was that year.
6-6, and then they lost the ball game.
Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, they haven't had a losing season since 1998. Which is crazy. So that was a good bounce back year for them. I mean, you go from 6-7 to 10-2. Shout out to them. Um, uh, but like you said, John, I felt like he was gonna be the key.
John
No,
Mateer.
I wrote down Jaden, and then I put in parentheses is healthy. All right,
He was healthy and didn't even play.
like he only I saw he only had 20 carries the whole season for real.
Yeah, he ain't
So
play. It's not. It wasn't because of health. He just normally, he do be getting hurt at Cal, but yeah, he transferred. Man, you remember how that even happened? Like out of nowhere, he just hit the portal with a do not contact and went to Oklahoma, and then he didn't even play.
that's crazy. That's crazy. So, but shout out to them, man. Like 10-2, I did not expect that. Made it to the playoffs. We got the dub on them. That's why I'm like the dubs. We got some good wins,
Yeah,
and that's why I felt like we should have had like a chance. You know what I mean? So including the last win of the season, that was a big win. Like So, but shout out to Oklahoma.
yeah. Texas A&M was undefeated. Yeah. Shout out to Oklahoma, great season. Gotta. My bad. He gotta add on to it now. I think Mateer's back at Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken, which is really good. I think they also returned their running backs as well. I think Blaylock. I want to say he was a freshman, if I'm not mistaken. I know Mason Thomas is gone. I believe Deion Burks is gone, the receiver. But I know one of the cornerbacks they had too that was really good was a freshman. So they got some to build upon at Oklahoma. I'm kind of excited for them next year. But we'll move on to a team that, like I said, I always kind of root for. I was super high on them, and they had a great year, and that's the Ole Miss Rebels. Great year for Ole Miss. Now, accidental, in my opinion, great year for Ole Miss because it almost went south fast. Austin Simmons, that first game against Georgia State did not look great. Then against Kentucky was not looking great, and then he gets hurt, and then Trinidad Chambers comes in, and they normally say you don't lose your job to injury, but Trinidad Chambers was playing so good, they couldn't go back to Austin Simmons. It's like it was no way. One, if you go back to Austin Simmons, it would have been a mistake. Two, you killed Trinidad Chambers' confidence. And then three, how do you go back to him from saying, all right, Austin Simmons looked bad. You came and looked good. But Austin Simmons was here, and we named him the starter because he was here. And so we gave him his job back, even though you look better than him. Like, how does that look? So they stayed with Trinidad Chambers, and Trinidad Chambers took them to an 11-1, 7-1 SEC record. Was also in the mix for SEC title game. Did not, like I said, tiebreakers did not go their way. But their only loss was to Georgia. And then we talked about that game in the Georgia segment. That game, their first 5 drives, all were touchdown drives against that Georgia defense, which is insane. But that fourth quarter just could not get it done. The Georgia defense finally figured it out. Gunnar Stockton, their offense, figured it out. And Georgia, first of all, shout out to Georgia for even keeping pace with Ole Miss, scoring 5 touchdowns on their first 5 drives. But then not only keeping pace, but pulling ahead to win in that. But Ole Miss, man, Kawan Lacey, Heavenson running back, second in SEC in rushing yards, third in the country in rushing yards.
Shout out to Lacey. Great
year. I mean, now he's featured on the College Football 27 cover. Which shout out to them for that game. I love that game. I played the beta, but it's a whole new game. I ain't playing online that during the first week to come out. I gotta get into practice and learn a bunch of whole new stuff. But we're not here to talk about that. But great season offensively, high-powered offense. Ole Miss ain't necessarily a defensive school. Now, I will say they had their moments. Well, Ole Miss traditionally ain't a defensive powerhouse. And I mean, they weren't this year either. Like I said, they just had their moments. But yeah, 11-1, 7-1. This is probably one of the best Ole Miss seasons in years that I, off the top of the dome, can even remember. They beat Georgia State. I had them winning that. By the way, I had Ole Miss going 10-2, 6-2. I did not say that, so I got the over 8.5 correct.
Okay.
Finally, I had them beat Kentucky. They won. Beating Arkansas. They won. Beating Tulane. They won. Which remember Tulane. Losing to LSU. They won. Beating Washington State. They won. Losing to Georgia. They lost. Beating Oklahoma, they won. Beating South Carolina, they won. Beating Citadel, they won. Beating Florida, they won. And beating Mississippi State, they won. I had 11 games right, 1 game wrong. And I'm so mad that I got the LSU game wrong. But again, was just super high on LSU. But, man, Ole Miss at home, I should have took that Ole Miss game, man. I think the only reason why I went with LSU is because LSU is supposed to have a defense, and Ole Miss traditionally don't. So that's why I took that game. But if I'd have got that game right, I'd have got 12 games right, 1 game wrong. I mean, 12. I would have had a perfect season prediction. Actually, if I'd have got that game right, I'd have had a perfect season prediction for Ole Miss for 2 out of their last 3 years. Because if you remember my first season on CTC, I perfectly predicted Ole Miss's record. I perfectly predicted them going 10-2. I think they went 6-2, maybe 7-1. But whatever they win the SEC, I perfectly predicted them going 10-2, and I got all their wins and losses correct. The year prior, not so much. But yeah, and that's the thing too. Going 11-1 is their best season ever, but it's not like not ever, but in a while. But it's not like they didn't have good seasons. The year prior to that, they went 10-3, and the year prior to that 10-3, they with Jackson Dart went 10-2. So they're stacking double-digit regular season wins. Just tough to get to that championship game with the big dogs of the SEC. So very unfortunate. That was one of the best chances to make the SEC championship game. And unfortunate how it worked out. But great season by them. But we're not done. They did not make the SEC championship, but they did make the college football playoffs. And in the first round, they beat Tulane of rematch, 41-10. Dogged them. I will say, if I remember correctly, though, they had to pull away. Like, Tulane did a good job sticking close, but just couldn't score.
Yeah.
They won the Sugar Bowl. Talked about it in the Georgia segment, 39-34. Trinidad Chambliss making crazy plays out, just buying time with his legs, getting the ball downfield. Dejon dribbling, I think, had a crazy catch and run. But it all came crashing down when they saw Miami. And Miami, they had a chance to win in the Miami game. Late game, they lost the Fiesta Bowl 31-27 against the Hurricanes. But
didn't Lacey deal with injury that game too?
I believe so.
Yeah, because Miami.
I think he got hurt in that game. Yeah, he got hurt in that game.
He hurt. I think he broke out. He broke out a long run and he got hurt.
I think that was the reason why he didn't score.
He came back in though. But still.
But he was hard. He was still laboring. But I think that's the reason why he got halt. It's because of the injury. But it was right after the first quarter, like right when the first quarter ended. I think he broke one. But yeah, amazing Fiesta Bowl, but came out on the wrong side of that. I think late they went for like a Hail Mary or something like that from like 30.
Then Carson back like score like a game winning.
Yeah, That
game was a good game. I think I remember that game because I was rooting for Miami because of Ace, because he was in the chat heavy that time. Like he was in the chat like.
I don't even know if I was rooting for either one because me and Ole Miss, but Ace my dog, and outside of NFL, that's my dog. So I wanted to see them on top, but I was like, I don't care who win this game. This is just a good game.
Man, it was.
Miami won. Miami won. But go ahead, talk to me about Ole Miss.
Coming Miami started off hot and then Ole Miss climbed back. But yeah, like shout out to Ole Miss, another team I got the record right for. This was my second one. Ole Miss, I had them going 11-1, which they did, 7-1 in conference, which they did. But I did have only 10 games right. I had 2 games wrong, which washed. Like you said, LSU. I had them losing to LSU, and I had them beating Georgia. So they beat LSU and they lost to Georgia, so it worked out. I said Austin Simmons could be offensive player of the year candidate for SEC. I said that. Oof. All right. And the reason why I said that because of the weapons he had. You know, Dejon dribbling, Harrison Wallace. I mentioned Caleb Oden. I also mentioned Daquan Wright. And for real, you look at Wallace, Stribling, Alexander. They mentioned him, and Wright and Lee. They all had over 600 yards in receiving.
which is insane.
Yeah, and then you look at
Chambliss.
Chambliss, like you
Yeah.
said, he came in the third game of the season and still finished third in passing yards, which is
It's
ridiculous.
also insane.
Yeah, so let's just take out Austin Simmons and put in Trinidad. All right, so let's make it seem like I said that. So I love their receiving core, including tight end Luke Hawks. Hawks, how you
Luke
say it?
Haas
Luke
from
Hawks.
Arkansas.
Also mention him too. All right, so but yeah, so shout out to them, man. You know, they had to represent for my boy Commander Trey Amos. You know what I mean? You know, so but got into the playoff, like you said, got their revenge on Georgia, and could have beaten Miami. And I found the late Kiffin quote. He said, "Am I saying that we're gonna win a national championship? No, but we're not losing to Miami." That's what he said. That's what he said. He's like, we would have beat Miami though, but I'm not gonna say we would have beat Indiana. He said we would have been in it though.
You could have, coached that game, but you left and ran off to LSU. So
Which is crazy. And shout out to that. I don't know his name, the coach that took over. And isn't he
Coach, I
leaving
think
too?
Coach Golden.
He left too, though, right?
No, I thought he got promoted.
Was that him? I thought that was them. No. I'm getting him messed up. Was that Tulane? What school was that? He was coaching, but he was working with two teams at the same time. Was that Tulane?
Summerall did leave, but I don't know if that was Tulane. It might be Coach Chesney, because JMU head coach took the UCLA job. It might have been.
JMU. But it wasn't Ole Miss though. It wasn't Ole Miss. So, but I did know it was a coach. But yeah, but he did a good job though. The one that came in for Lane Kiffin, he did a good job.
Yeah, Golden. I was right. And he's the head coach now. They promoted him.
And I think they wanted him to be the coach too.
Yeah, like the team celebrated everybody was like behind it.
Yeah, so shout out to him, man. And yeah, man. So and Trinidad is back for what, his 6th year?
Man, I don't know why he ain't go to the draft. Like this class of quarterbacks wasn't that good. I felt like he would have probably been ranked as like one of the top ones. Now people wouldn't have put him over Mendoza, but people probably would have had second for sure. But he's also short, so who knows? People that they do look at stuff like that.
They do.
I want to say Trinidad Chambliss is anywhere between 5'9" to 5'11", if I'm not mistaken.
But he was dropping buckets though. Like he like
tough. Oh, he's 6'1". Never mind.
I'm not gonna lie, like, he was looking like an NFL quarterback out there.
To me too. Yeah. That's why I was so surprised he didn't go. I'm like, bro, leave. Just take advantage.
Yeah, but they getting paid now too, though. So.
And I mean, he comes from Ferris State, which I believe is D3, if I'm not mistaken. So, you get
a taste. One for a year too. Probably won one for a year as a starter. And you were that close to winning. It's like you're running back.
But my thing was, one, you're not even guaranteed this year because remember he had to go to court to fight for this year. So why not just take the draft? But he probably wanted that extra comfortability, that D1 lifestyle, the NIL money, like you said, things like that. And maybe, we think that he's QB at the next level, but maybe a lot of people he heard from maybe he has an agent or whatever the case may be, and they're not telling him the same things that we're thinking. So who knows? But I thought, man, he looked like he looked like a dang good NFL quarterback to me. When the play breaks down,
yes, he
by
does.
times and give people the ball. So. But anyway, looking forward to him next year. He's back. Kawan Lacey's back. I want to say Winston Watkins is also back, or did he go to LSU? Let me look. Because I don't know if Winston Watkins, who was a freshman, I don't know if he followed Lane to LSU or not. I want to say Winston Watkins did. Nope. He followed Lane to LSU.
Oh, he did?
I see a picture right here in the LSU practice jersey. So Winston Watkins is not back. But I think Ole Miss is going to be fine with Chambliss and Kawan Lacey. That read option and things like that is nasty. So,
yeah.
As you see, I was babbling because I don't want to talk about this. And that is the South Carolina Gamecocks. Oh, we're here. We are here. Oh, Lord.
Oh, Carl, dang.
When I
was watching the preview, woo, I felt your pain, man.
Coming off a a 9-3, 5-3 regular season before we lost the Citrus Bowl to no the Cheez-It Bowl, excuse me, to Illinois 21-17, which we should have won that too. But anyway, I was super high on South Carolina. Now we did lose our OC, Logan Dog. Oh my God, I think it's Lodell Doggins or something like that. He went to App State. He took the App State head coaching job, and so we promoted Mike Shula, which I was fine with. You know, we got Brandon Cisse transferred in. We did lose a lot defensively. We lost my boy Nick Hamawori, who just won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Shout out him. Like I was telling people, I thought that was the best safety in the draft, you know, over Malachi. We did lose my boy Debo Williams. We lost my boy Kyle Kennard off the edge. TJ Sanders at the tackle. We lost a lot, but I thought we did a good job. Well, I thought we did a good job of replacing those guys defensively. Could not get off the field on third downs. Don't matter if it was 3rd and 30, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 1. We was not getting off the field. If nobody open, somebody was committing to pass interference. Somebody's gonna blow a coverage. Somebody's gonna get beaten man coverage. It's South Carolina defense. Oh Lord! And then you mix that with the offense being very inconsistent. Shout out Nick Harbor. He finally found his footing in college football. I will say that. He did find his footing. That's one thing I was hoping for, and I got. But Lenore Sellers' inconsistent year. I think the O-line didn't help do him no favors at all. Man, just. Oh, Lord, man. Just a bad season. We was a bunch of can't get rights. I can admit. A bunch of can't get rights. Dylan Stewart, I feel like he wasn't as effective as his freshman year. Now he's going into his junior season, which he got to get right because he's eligible to get drafted this year coming up after this season. So, but, yeah, it was just all bad for my boys. I had us going 10-2, 6-2. We went 4-8, 1-7. Oh, God, our only SEC win was I don't even remember it. I have to find it. What was all this?
Yeah, only SEC win was against
Kentucky. That was the only SEC win. Oh God, and they went 1-7 in the SEC too. So that's not even a good win. Like, oh man, look. All right, let me hurry up and get through this. So I had us beating Virginia Tech in Atlanta. We won. Looking back, that game was a clear foreshadowing how the season was going to go. Because we did not do good in that game. Offense stunk. Defense also was giving up a bunch of third downs. I mean, shout out to Bakari Swain. He had a punt return in that joint. He was looking sweet punt return to football, you know, as a special teamer. But and I think Nick Harbor had like a deep ball in that joint too. But stunk. We beat South Carolina State. I had as a win. We lost to Vandy. I had as a win. We beat Mizzou. We lost to Mizzou. Excuse me. I had as a win. Beat Kentucky. Got as a win. Lost to LSU. I had as a win. Lost to Oklahoma. I had as a win. Lost to Alabama. I had as a win. That game was also, I think, close though. I think Ryan Williams or somebody like that scored a game-winning touchdown, or Jeremy Bernard. Somebody scored something and then got like a first down to ice it. But that game was close. We lost yet another one, close one to Alabama. Had us losing to Ole Miss because it was at Ole Miss, and I know how that gets, and we lost. Had us losing to Texas A&M. We were up like 30 against Texas A&M and lost. We blew that game. Oh, my God. We were up. I'm not exaggerating. It might maybe a little bit, but it was within that in the second half. And Texas A&M just went on to score like every drive or something like that. You could look it up, but I'm telling you, it was something crazy like that. And blew it. At Cal Field, I was so pissed. I mean, the season was pretty much over at that point. I mean, if we win that game, we can contend for a bowl game because we would have been 5-7 going against Clemson. But maybe we play that game against Clemson a little harder with a chance to make a bowl game. But anyway, we beat Coastal Carolina, had as a win, and then we lose to Clemson in the Battle of the Palmetto, which I said we would win, and we lost. I had 6 games right, 6 games wrong. We went 4-8, 1-7. Obviously, getting the over 7.5 incorrect. I want to talk about this, Joe.
All right, so I had y'all going 8-4, 5-3 in the conference. Like you say, I went 4-8 and 1-7. Lenore Sellers, I feel like he didn't live up to the hype that I thought he would be better in. I feel like he'll be a better, he make a kind of like a at least a small leap this year. I feel like he didn't. Nick Harbaugh, like you said, he had a good year. He led a nation in yards per reception, 20.6, which is good. Um, Dylan Stewart, who I had as the defensive player of the year in the SEC. By the way, I don't know if you remember that, but you mentioned third down percentage. Y'all was 68th in the nation in third down percentage on defense, 68. But y'all like middle of the pack in the conference though, so it wasn't as bad as I thought y'all were. But 4-8, man, was not what I was looking for. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7 of y'all games right. The ones I had wrong, I had y'all beating Vanderbilt, beating Missouri. Y'all lost both of those in a row. I had y'all beating Oklahoma. Y'all lost that. I had y'all beating Texas A&M. Y'all lost that. So basically, everything I had wrong was like a game I thought y'all would win. It was 4 games. But in all the other areas y'all had, I kind of predicted that. But yeah, man, I thought Lenore Sellers would be better this year. But he
Bro,
kind of.
I just looked up the Texas A&M game. We were up 30-3 at halftime.
Oh yeah, we talked about yeah.
That's what I said. I might have been exaggerating a little bit, but not really. We're up 33 at halftime, and Texas A&M goes to score a touchdown and 1, 2, 3, 4 straight drives to open the second half. Then they fumble, giving us a chance to, right the BS that we done. And then we turn the ball over on downs in 8 plays. And I want to say we kind of got field goal range and something happened. No, we didn't.
Didn't like something similar to that happen to y'all the year before, the LSU?
LSU.
Oh,
But Lenore Sellers got hurt in that game and he didn't come back.
oh
Man, like Ravens like South Carolina up 30-3 and just blow it. Jesus.
yeah, man. Yeah, so yeah, it was a tough year for y'all. Y'all had a hard, but y'all had a tough schedule, bro.
I mean, yeah, looking back, Vandy, which we'll talk about later, great season. Ole Miss playoff team, Bama playoff team, Texas A&M playoff team, Oklahoma playoff team. We played 4 playoff teams. That is crazy. We played 4 playoff teams. Clemson, who I had winning the national championship.
Natty, yeah.
Vandy, who didn't make the playoffs but had 10 wins. Yeah, and Mizzou, who had 8 wins. So
yeah, y'all had a tough schedule.
And we played Oklahoma. We played the 4 playoff teams all back to back. We played Oklahoma first, then Bama, then Ole Miss, then Texas A&M. In
crazy.
Order.
And that what kind of killed y'all season for real. Like y'all lost to LSU too.
Yep.
So y'all was on a 5. Y'all lost 5 in a row. So the LSU game though, that's like a game I know you probably mad about how LSU finished, because LSU wasn't even like a super powerhouse this year.
No. And that game was close too. That game was super, bro. They couldn't do nothing offensively, but we couldn't do nothing offensively either, and we couldn't score. Like
Norris had 124 passing yards.
Yeah, we could. That's what I said. We couldn't do nothing offensively either. I remember that game too. That game sucked. I want to say we fumbled too a couple times in that game.
But Lenore's, he had a game with 128 yards, 148, 153, 124, 124, 180. So like, I feel like I thought he was gonna take a look. I liked him the year prior.
I don't know if you remember me saying this, but remember that he was getting a whole bunch of hype about possibly being the number 1 overall pick. And I'm like, slow y'all roll. Like, I think Lenore Sellers is a good college quarterback, but NFL not so much. And he kind of proved me right.
I do remember that.
Yeah, Lenore Sellers fumbled in this game against LSU. I knew he fumbled. And how many did he throw? And he threw a pick in this game against LSU. We had some turnovers, but I mean, Gary Nussmeier threw 2 picks in this game. Like, man. Oh, this is the Trey Green game where he went stupid. Yup. Yeah, I know. I remember this giant, but Let's move on before I cry. We're gonna move on to a team in Tennessee. Well, I was close to getting correct. Tennessee, they won 8 games, but I'm about to say this, and it's about to be very controversial. This was not a good season for Tennessee. Tennessee went 8-4, 4-4. I dare you to tell me a good win that Tennessee has. They had no good wins, and I kept saying it throughout the entirety of the year. None. Syracuse, not a good win. They were not a good football team. East Tennessee State, FCS school. Need I say more? UAB, they fired their coach Trent Dilfer in the middle of the season. Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby's 1-15 in the SEC.
Yeah.
Arkansas,
that was an overtime too.
Yup. I remember that. Arkansas, they fired their coach at the end of the year because they went 0-8 in the SEC.
They're going back
Kentucky, they fired their coach in the end of the year because they went 1-7 in the SEC. Or no, they went. Did they go 1-7? I think they did go 1-7. Dang, we just talked about Kentucky. Let me roll back. But anyway, the point still remains that they fired their coach at the end of the year because of how bad they were. They went 2-6 in the SEC. My fault. My bad. Forgot to win. And New Mexico State. Oh, excuse me. New Mexico State was a win. Conference USA team wasn't that good. This ain't Diego Pavia's New Mexico State who made the Conference USA championship game. And in Florida, who fired their coach at the end of the year because they stunk, only had 4 wins in the season. Those are all 8 wins.
The only way you can say it's a good win with Florida because they
got the curse out the way. I'm not doing no. All 8 wins came about games of schools who stunk
and
the FCS school. So I don't want to throw East Tennessee in the stunt category because that's not fair to them. They're in a whole nother conference. That's not fair to them. But they stunk. 1, 2, 3, 4 of their wins came against coaches who got fired this year. This year. That's crazy. Now let's look at their losses. Georgia, playoff team. Vandy, 10-win team. Oklahoma, playoff team. And their last loss was to Bama, playoff team. When you played a good team, you lost.
And they lost a bowl game too.
Yeah, and they lost a bowl game to Illinois. 9-win team. I think they were 9-win team with the bowl game win. So it's not a good year for Alabama. I mean, for Tennessee. I mean, you might lie to yourself and say it was you had 8 wins, but when you break down the 8 wins and see who they beat, this year sucked. I got 11 games right though, 1 game wrong, and I got the under 8.5 correct. I had Tennessee going 7-5, 3-5. The only game I got wrong was the Florida game. If I didn't believe in that, which I didn't believe in the curse 2 years ago, and that better Tennessee team lost, I would have got a perfect prediction for Tennessee. But don't live in a world of woulda, coulda, shouldas. We live in a world where what happened, and I got that wrong. So that's the only game I got wrong was the Florida curse. Florida kicks me in the nuts yet again. Thank you, Florida. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Tennessee, man. As that card returned.
It's funny because you have more games than me, right? You have 11, right?
Yep.
I have 10 right, but I got the record spot on because
that happened in the Ole Miss segment.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So, like, I had them losing to Florida and beating Vanderbilt, and it reversed. You know.
Remember, we debated about that during the preview, the Vandy game.
Yeah, and they got blown out by Vandy. Shout out to Vandy, and because you was high on Vandy, and so I higher than me.
Mm-hmm.
So they were 8-4. I got them going 8. I had them going 8-4, and I had them going 4-4 in the conference, which they did. And I'm with you with they haven't won beat no good teams. And it was crazy. I was wrong on this point. I said that the defense will be good this year because they got most of their guys back from last year. But then when you look at the statistics, they had the 3rd worst defense as far as points allowed in the SEC. They allowed 28.8 points a game. So that is, I mean, you look at the losses they got to the good teams, 44-41, right? And
that
then,
was what, Georgia?
Yeah, it was Georgia, 37-20. 33 to 27, 45 to 24. Like these teams are putting up points on them. And then Mississippi State put up 34. So I'm with you on that. And like you said, to confirm that they didn't really have no solid wins, they lost their bowl game. Now it was only about 2 points, but they lost.
Yeah,
So
still lost.
I did get the record right. They did go 8-4. They did have they went under because they were 8.5.
Mhm.
They underachieved based on the betting line. So yeah, that's what I got for Tennessee.
And then to your point about scoring, Illinois put up 30 to win the bowl game.
Oh, yes, there you go. Illinois put up 30. There you go.
Shout out Illinois, man. Back-to-back seasons with a bowl win against SEC schools.
And Arkansas put up 31. So basically and Kentucky put up 34. So every SEC team except for Oklahoma. No, even though
I think Oklahoma put up a bunch because I remember R. Mason Thomas got hurt, returned a strip sack for a touchdown.
Every team except for Florida put up.
That's embarrassing. This might be the most. Nah, let me stop. I was about to say something stupid, but still, like that's just further confirm my point of the entirety of the year of Tennessee was super fraudulent, had no good wins. But shout out Joey Aguilar who tried to get an extra year, I believe, and got denied. And shout out to Chris Brazell because I really liked him at Tulane, and he finally got somebody to throw him the ball at Tennessee, and he kind of broke out at receiver. So shout out to him for that. But we'll move on from Tennessee. And I feel so stupid. I went back and seen the preview. And did you ask me not to let you go first for Texas? I feel like that's what happened.
You went first?
I feel like you let me go first. Because I normally let my guests do their team first. But I feel like you specifically told me to go first that segment.
I did. I told you to do it like you normally do, basically.
Do you still want me to do that, or do you want me to do what I normally do?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's really like you normally do it. I'm cool with that. Yeah, go ahead.
So that means you go first.
No, you can go first. Do it like you've been doing this whole time. I'm cool. I'll piggyback off you. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So as you can see, we're on Texas, and Texas was coming off a college football playoff appearance, SEC championship appearance. A really good year with Quinn Ewers and the guys. I mean, they lost Matt Golden. They lost
who Green Bay don't use. My bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Or Jordan Love loves to overthrow, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy. But
yes.
They lost a ton at Texas. Mm-hmm. But in comes Arch Manning, DeAndre Moore was supposed to be a big piece for Arch, not so much, and he's actually transferred out of Texas now. I forgot where he is now, but he's transferred out. Michael Taft, the safety, Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker, big pieces to the defense coming back. Sherrell, the DN, Colin Simmons, the DN, because I think Sherrell actually left. But yeah, Baron Sherrell left. But Colin Simmons, the DN, big year, by the way, from him. I was looking for more from Trey Moore, didn't really get it. Malik Muhammad, another big piece, came back at corner. And I'm not even going to say this was an underwhelming year for Texas because, I mean, the first loss against Ohio State ended up losing to Miami in the playoff, but that was a good game. And Ohio State went undefeated. They just lost to the national champion. And so Ohio State had a year like Cincinnati. So Ohio State lost to both Indiana, which won a national championship in the Big Ten championship game, and they lost to Miami, who played for the national championship. Those were Ohio State's only losses. So Ohio State was a really good team. And as you can see with the talent that got drafted off the Ohio State team, a bunch of NFL guys. So that's not a bad loss. But Arch looked horrible.
Yes, he did.
In that game.
That's what make it a bad loss.
Yeah. Arch looked horrible in that game. But you can say, hey, Arch's first season, first start, NFL caliber defense. But it just looked like something was off. Now, later it comes out that Arch probably had a shoulder injury and he was playing through it and was at Texas. I could definitely believe that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I could believe it. But Arch actually got better as the season progressed.
Yes.
But what hurt Arch with publicity, from a publicity standpoint, was being thrusted into this best quarterback in the in the country narrative off rip. No season, no full season.
Mhm.
You barely seen him play, and when you did see him play, unfortunately, he was thrusted in some crazy situations, i.e., the Georgia game, where both him and Quinn Ewers were just getting punished. So it's like the national media ain't do him any favors at all. But if you take a step back and you put the national media hype to the side, which a lot of people have a tough time doing, like I said, he actually improved as the season got on. So it either leads me to believe that he just needed to get his feet wet. Maybe the shoulder injury was true. One of those two things to me could be true. But ultimately, I think this was a solid season for Texas. Now, they didn't do as good as I thought they would do. I had them going 11-1, 7-1. They went 9-3, 6-2. Did not make a playoff. But hey, man, appreciate y'all on that hit, man. Y'all beat Michigan in the Citrus Bowl, 41-27. Definitely love that. But I think they had a really good year. They took out Texas A&M, who was undefeated, riding high. And I even told Joe, I'm like, look, Joe, y'all couldn't beat them and have a chance because people was loving Texas A&M at the time. Undefeated, really good defense. Marcel Reed was getting a lot of love at quarterback. I kept telling y'all he's fraudulent, but that Texas defense, y'all held them to 7-10 points in that game. Arch had some big runs, big plays in that game, both legs and with his arm. So I think that was a big coming out party for Arch in Texas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this was a really good season. You won the Red River rivalry, which is big. No matter what, you got to beat Oklahoma if you're a Texas fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big win. You beat Vanderbilt. That's a really good win. So I think this was a really good season. Now, I did get 10 games right, 2 games wrong. I did get the over 9.5 incorrect, which a crazy over under. But I got the win against Ohio State wrong. They lost. I had them beating San Jose State. They won. Beating UTEP, they won, which I don't think Arch looked good in that UTEP game, if I'm not mistaken. Sam Houston, I had them winning. They won. I had them losing to Florida. They lost. Beating Oklahoma, they won. Beating Kentucky, they won. Beating Mississippi State, they won. Beating Vandy, they won. I had them beating Georgia, which Georgia just got y'all number. Unfortunately, they lost. Beating Arkansas, they won, and beating Texas A&M, which they won. So I did call that in Cal Field. I had y'all beating them in the preseason, and y'all won. Again, the Georgia and the Ohio State game are my 2 incorrect games, which I can live with that. Go ahead, Joe. Talk about your team.
All right. So I know we talked about Alabama, we talked about Georgia, and we said that the fans are spoiled and they might say they're not having a good season. And I know you said we had a good year. Now, based on the expectations, it wasn't. We went below the expectations for sure.
I get
How
that.
we came out the gate. Now I get it. We played against Ohio State. If us losing ain't the problem. It's how we lost. Because once again, Jeremiah, I mean, he had a couple of moments, but you know what I mean, we did a good job on him. And then and then offensively, like we held him to 14 points all game. But we had so many opportunities. Dudes were open and he was just missing. Oh my God, he was horrible. And you could tell the pressure was hitting and he just wasn't ready. And then, like you said, you missed the UTEP game. Arch Manning had 5 games when he was under 60%. He was 56% completion percentage against Ohio State, 44 against UTEP, 55 against Florida, which was a horrible game by us. We tried to make a comeback at the end, but we couldn't pull it off. We lost to Florida. When we lost to Florida, bro, because my expectations for Florida wasn't so high. I know you had us losing, but we were getting manhandled, bro. And then we tried to make a comeback at the end, but it didn't work out. Against Kentucky, another team I wasn't high on, 44%. Arkansas, 48% completion percentage. So like 5 games under 60%. So us losing to Florida was to me wasn't good, and getting dogged by Georgia again. It's like, dog, come on, you know. But I must say, Carl, we do have some good wins against Oklahoma, against Vanderbilt. But I thought the game that I felt the best about was Texas A&M game, because their defense, they ain't third in the nation. We're gonna get to them, third nation in the country and defense, and how Arch Manning looked in that game, arm and legs, it was amazing. It was like, this is what we're gonna look forward to next year. You know, when I saw that, you know, so, and I really thought we had an opportunity to get in the dance, but we did not. But all in all, it was an underwhelming season. Even the defense, I thought the defense was pretty solid, but I thought it would be better than what it was because we've been great these last couple of years. We were 6th in points per game in the SEC, but we were 28th in the nation, 40th in yards allowed. That's not, you know what I mean? Like we gotta be better than that. So yeah, but all in all, I'm looking forward to this year. Come on, boy, Arch Manning, he'll be ready.
I hope so. But I'm gonna just explain myself why I think it's a good year. Because if you go based on preseason prediction, you're absolutely right. Underwhelming for sure. I'm more so looking at it as okay. I get the preseason, but what I saw this year, it ended up being good because, like you said, Arch develops. That's good. You got some good wins. Texas A&M and Vandy both were double-digit win teams. Colleges, so that's good. Now you do have the underwhelming Florida loss, but I mean, I kind of predicted that. Even like going into that week, I predicted that. Like, I'm not going
was
just
also
off.
in the midst. Sorry to cut you off. That's also in the midst of like Manning was still like yeah.
And like I said, I wasn't even going off the preseason prediction of me picking that L. Like I did that game, I previewed that game on my show that week and predicted Florida to win that one. So. But I definitely get where you're coming from, and I'm not going to say you're wrong at all because you're absolutely right in terms of preseason. You didn't make the playoff. You were projected to win a natty or play for a natty, and you didn't even make the playoff. So from that standpoint, you are absolutely correct. But I think from the growing pains and from the start of the season to where you finished, I think that was a good season.
You know what? If I walk into this, if I forget the expectations and look at how we look week 1 and how we look at the end of the season, it's a win.
Yeah.
And also, I know you're happy with this. We beat Michigan in a bowl game.
That's what I said. Appreciate y'all on that hit.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. Yeah. That's right.
Speaking of Michigan, I don't know if you saw what Eric Weddle said about Bryce Underwood, but your boy been saying that all year about him, all last year. So
no, I didn't see it.
So basically, Eric Weddle is a former Utah U, right? But so is their new head coach, Cal Whittington. He was the head coach of Utah. So I believe Eric Weddle played for him. And so he went to the spring game and he basically said, don't be surprised if the bench players are playing in this season because like Bryce Underwood is not that good of a quarterback. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically was saying, don't be surprised if Bryce Underwood get benched for poor performance. Because he doesn't look as good as he's projected to be. Like this guy was a 5-star plus recruit. Dang, he just didn't look good. And I've been saying that all year. Like Bryce Underwood looks very underwhelming passing the football. Now he's a freshman, so I'm gonna cut him some slack. He's a freshman. It's a different game. You know, high school to NFL. High school to college, and he's in the Big Ten. Big Ten plays defense.
Yeah, and Big Ten has grown so much.
Yeah, and Michigan loves to run the football. So I cut him some slack, but I pretty much was saying the same thing, minus the getting bench part. I ain't say that. Everybody would go crazy. But I will also say that they got a high recruit, Michigan, and Jaden Davis, and I want to say he ended up transferring to like a FCS school from Michigan. Michigan be missing on quarterbacks a ton. Just saying. So do we, but Michigan State. But
they like
Michigan,
to run the ball.
Yeah, as long as you can hand the ball off, you might get a scholarship to Michigan. But anyway, we're gonna move on from Texas to Texas A&M, which I was high on Texas A&M. It's funny. So Texas, right? I had them going 11-1, 7-1. They went 9-3, 6-2.
Oh, you know what? I didn't mention my record with Texas. I don't think.
Oh,
yeah. I had them going 11-1, 7-1. So
okay. So
I had the over, but yeah.
No, we got the over wrong. The over under was 9.5. We had over 9.5. They finished with 9 wins. The under hit.
Oh, they had 9. Yeah.
Because the 10th win is the bowl game.
Yeah,
so
that's throwing me off. Yeah, throwing me off. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it was funny. I had Texas going 11-1, 7-1. They went 9-3, 6-2. I had Texas A&M going 9-3, 6-2. They went 11-1, 7-1. So they did the opposite of my prediction. So I thought that was kind of funny. But this was also a really good year for Texas A&M. Mike Elko, great season. Mike Elko has proven to show why he's a great hire. I can't remember what grade I gave Elko, but I know I gave him a good hire for sure. But yeah, man, he turned around at Texas A&M that fast. They were coming off an 85-5-3 season, where they lost the Las Vegas Bowl to USC. But he turned them up and made them a playoff team. Made them an SEC championship contender. Now, unfortunately for them, they lost to y'all, which knocked them out of the SEC title game. Which, you know, get that little notch on your belt. But
sorry,
I wouldn't apologize. But I said it all year, man. I've said it multiple years. Even when they had Connor Wegman, I'm not a Marcel Reed guy. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I really don't. Like, solid season, but when you looked at minus what Notre Dame, who he beat? UTSA, very disappointing. I'll talk about them next episode. Utah State, also we'll talk about them next episode, funny enough, but that's a Mountain West school. Notre Dame was a good win for sure. Absolutely good win. Auburn, is that a good win? No. Mississippi State, is that a good win? No. Florida, is that a good win? No. Arkansas, is that a good win? No. LSU, that's a solid win. I'll give you that. Mizzou, that's a good one. I'll give you that. South Carolina, you were down 30-3 to South Carolina. You should not have won that game, but South Carolina imploded. Samford, is that a good win? No. And then when you have a test in Texas at home to go undefeated and possibly play for an SEC championship game. Not only did you lose, Marcel Reed didn't look good. So, yeah, I was telling Joe that whole week, like, y'all have a chance to show that Marcel Reed is fraudulent, and they did just that. But great season. I got the over 7.5 correct, which is crazy that their over under was that low with the season that they had. They did make the college football playoff, but they lost the first round 10-3. 3 points to Miami. And Miami's kicker missed a couple kicks because it was like a really windy day that day. But
that game was crazy.
Yeah, it was at Cal Field. You had home field advantage. You scored 3 points. I don't even think Marcel Reed looked good in that game. So
he didn't.
No.
I remember you was in the chat talking about that. Like, I told you.
So I'm sorry. I don't want to seem like I'm just like crapping on the kid, but I mean, I just don't see it. He has a chance to prove me wrong next year. He's back. He don't have Casey Concepcion. He's currently on
Browns.
He's in a not so good predicament, but you know, he got Mario Craver back. So it is what it is. But shout out to Cassius Howe. Great year at Texas A&M off the edge. Texas A&M had a really good defense, elite defense. Probably the reason why they made the playoffs, to be honest with you. I got 10 games right, 2 games wrong. The only 2 games I got wrong were the LSU game. I had them losing, and they won. And I got the Notre Dame game wrong. I had them losing, and they won. So those were the 2 games that prevented me from having a perfect season for Texas A&M. But got the over 7.5 correct. And, I mean, Mike Elko couldn't ask for a better season other than beating Texas to make the conference championship game. But I think they'd have lost to Georgia anyway. But talk to me, Joe.
What your record was what again? Sorry.
What record? I had them going 9-3, 6-2.
Okay. I had them going 7-5.
So you got the under.
So I was wrong for sure. And the games I had wrong, Notre Dame, they got that right. They won them at. I had them losing. I had them losing at LSU.
Me too.
Gosh. And they won. I had them losing to Missouri. They won. I had them losing to South Carolina. And I'm pretty sure you did too.
No. I had them beating us. I told you. Cal Field different.
Okay, yeah. You just said that, yeah. So W. And I wrote down my notes. Kevin Concepcion will have a good year. He almost scratched 1,000 yards. Shout out to him for getting drafted. I did put that he was a running wide receiver. He only had 10 carries the whole year. I thought he would they would run the ball with him more.
Yeah, they did do that at NC State. So you're not wrong. Just to clear that up for anybody listening, he's not wrong in thinking that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he only had 10 carries for the whole year for 70 yards. So I feel like they won. It went 11-1, with this formula. So shout out to them. But yeah, they overachieved in my expectations. Sure. I knew Marcel Reed was like a dynamic runner. I know he was like a dual threat type of quarterback. I know they lost a top receiver last year, Le'Veon Moss, and
running back, but he
oh,
was there last year.
sorry. No. Who was their top? They lost their top receiver the year before. Who was it?
Who was it? Hold on, I might got it on this paper. Jabri Barber. Was it Noah Thomas? Noah Thomas, I think. I want to say it was Noah Thomas.
Well, all right. Why you look that
I'll look
up?
it up. Yeah.
But yeah, I did mention Moss and Owens being like thunder and lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to them. But Reed, and then you got Reed right there also in the mix. So I know Moss only had 404 yards.
He got hurt.
But yeah, and okay, and then you got Owens 119 carries, 639 yards. So that makes sense. Moss only has 77 carries. But yeah, so yeah, they had one of the top offensive linemen, so I knew that the offensive line would be good. I feel like they would have had a good running game throughout this whole year, but the defense was third in everything. It was third in points, third in yards. The defense really held them down the whole year. I mean, until they ran into us. Sorry, we had to kick them out the SEC championship game. But good year for Texas A&M. They definitely went over and beyond because they over and under was 7.5, and they got 11 wins. So it was a great year for them.
It was Noah Thomas.
Okay, Noah Thomas.
Yeah, but yeah, and I mean, even in y'all game, which I put up with 17, I think, to win that game.
27.
27. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 27.
They put up 17. Okay, I just found it right here. Yeah, they put up 17. But yeah, y'all, Texas A&M, man, defense, like I said, like you said too, held them down, and that's just Mike Elko's specialty though. Mike Elko is a defensive coach. Even at Duke had a chance to play for ACC championship with Mike Elko with Riley Leonard because of that defense that Duke had under Mike Elko. So shout out Elko being a great defensive coach.
Shout out to Duke too, though.
Yeah. And we'll move on to the last school in the SEC, and that is my boy Diego Pavia, currently on the Raiders. I think he's still on the Raiders. And Vanderbilt, Clark Lee went 7-6, made a bowl game at Vandy, which might be small to y'all, but big. And they won, because I remember in the preseason I had to talk about them getting the bowl game ring. I'm like, bro, they do that all the time, bro. Like, that's not because Vanderbilt's so pressed they won a bowl game. Like, that happens. But they're coming off a bowl win, beat Georgia Tech in the Birmingham Bowl, and they wanted to say, like, last year wasn't a fluke. We're really good. And I had them going 7-5, 3-5. So Joe said I was high on them. That's like, I wasn't that high, but I thought that the over-under was disrespectful. You remember what the over-under was for Vanderbilt?
4.5.
Disrespectful.
After they made a bowl game, like you said.
They went 6-6 the year prior. Yeah. I think even on the preview, I was saying that was so disrespectful.
And they beat Alabama, right? Oh, Georgia.
No. I think they lost. No, they did beat Bama. Yeah. They lost to Georgia. They beat Bama. Because Bama was number 1 at the time. They beat Bama, I want to say, in Vandy.
I remember that.
Yup, so did. Because I remember this YouTube I watched. He had to buy, he had to change his name to something, but he couldn't do it. I'll tell you off air, but he couldn't do it because the name was crazy. And, business and stuff like that, which I figured. But anyway, yeah, I thought the over-under 4.5. I actually bet this. This was one of the joints I bet that hit. But screw my 7-5, 3-5. They went 10-2, 6-2. I think this was the most wins Vanderbilt's ever experienced in football history. And that was thanks to Pavia, Eli Stowers, and a bunch of other guys, not just Stowers, Cedric Alexander. A bunch of guys. Defense was solid. I'm not going to say the defense was elite, but it was solid. It got the job done. Offense made plays, was very explosive. Diego Pavia obviously leading the charge, running the ball and passing, made them super explosive. And the thing I loved about Clark Lee and Vanderbilt was that he trusted Pavia. 4th downs, big-time moments. He let his quarterback win the game for him, and I respect that as a head coach. Coming from, a guy who has Lamar, and Harbaugh trusted Lamar a lot before, the departure. I respect it, and I love it. So I could win and lose with that. And they won a lot. They experienced a lot of success. Now, I know we're not talking about next year. Now, I will be saying this right now. Clark Lee has a lot on his shoulders because he has to prove that it wasn't just Pavia, because not for nothing, Pavia went to New Mexico State. They played for a Conference USA championship. They lost to Caden, Salter, and Liberty because New Mexico State can stop that offense. That Liberty offense was super high powered for that conference that year. And then he takes Vanderbilt and turns them around and gets back-to-back winning seasons if you count the bowl game in the first, and then a 10-win season the next. So Clark Lee has to show that this turnaround or this success is not only because of Pavia, but because of what he can transform this program to be as well. Yeah. So this is tough for him. But nonetheless, obviously a great season for Vanderbilt, blowing away that over-under. They lost their bowl game to Iowa in the ReliaQuest Bowl, 34-27. I just felt like Iowa just did a really good job disrupting everything in that bowl game, because that bowl game wasn't as close as the score indicates. But I got 9 games right, 3 games wrong. I had to beat Charleston Southern, they won. Beating Virginia Tech, they won. Losing to South Carolina, they won. Beating Georgia State, they won. Beating Utah State, they won. Losing to Alabama, they lost. Losing to LSU, they won. Beating Mizzou, losing to Texas, losing to Auburn, they won. Beating Tennessee and Kentucky, which they won both those games. Finishing 10-2, 6-2. Talk to me about Vanderbilt.
Yeah, so I got 8. You said you got 9 right?
Mm-hmm.
I have 8 right and 4 wrong. I had them going 6-6 and 2-6 in the conference. Like you said, they went 10-2. Shout out to them, man. Shout out Diego Pavia for being in almost Heisman Trophy winner. Like he was a candidate. He was a candidate for the Heisman Trophy. Like I say, even a second. So I did mention that him and Eli Starwoods are like probably the best, one of the best tight end and QB duos in the nation, and they did show it last year. Shout out to both of them. Shout out to Starwoods. He's playing with my division rival, but it's all good. But last year was their first winning season since 2013, and now they got 2 in a row. So shout out to Diego, man. He just came there and changed the whole organization. But like you said, the coach gonna have a lot to prove next year without him. I did mention the defense was awful, but you said they were good enough. They weren't great, but they weren't bad either. They were kind of average defense. But the games I got right, the games I got wrong, South Carolina, once again. I had them losing to South Carolina. They won.
We're sorry, bro.
LSU, bro. I'm telling you, South Carolina LSU is making me mad. This whole segment. LSU lost W. Auburn had them losing W, and Tennessee had them losing.
I was about to say that was the swing game. I think we had everything the same except for Tennessee.
Yeah, and you went with Tennessee. You went with them winning, and they won the last 2 games. So, but this is a testament to Diego Pavia. Like, I want to see if he will get an opportunity in the NFL, a true opportunity, and see what he would do, because he's shown that he's a winner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so far, everywhere he's been, he's won. So, and he plays with a lot of emotion, too. So, I want to see if he get an opportunity in the NFL and see how it works.
Yeah, I want to see him actually play in a preseason game. I want him to be on the team long enough to play in the preseason. And let's just see what he does in the preseason. Because, I mean, obviously, he's not playing to start in Baltimore. That's dead. But he's playing to audition, maybe for other teams, maybe to secure that 3rd quarterback spot in Baltimore, because we did draft another rookie in Joe Fagnano from UConn, who had a really good year at UConn himself. But, yeah, he's not only auditioning for the Ravens if he does play in the preseason. He's auditioning for all other 31 teams who possibly could. Hey, Jacoby Brissett is holding out for the Cardinals. So.
That's crazy. I thought that was fake.
Yeah, I thought it was fake too when I first saw it, but I keep seeing it, so I'm like, nah, this got to be real.
Like, for real, I thought it was fake until you just said something. So you saying something, I'm assuming it's real.
I think it's real too. I thought it was fake too, but I keep seeing it. Like, at some point, it got to be real, right?
And it was for like $30-something million. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't know, man. If that's the case, however, I'm gonna just say allegedly, because it's anyway. I'm gonna just say alleged. If that's the case, man, go ball out and go win that job in Arizona or something. Because I don't know if they want to start Carson back. But great year by Vandy. One of the best years I've ever seen from Vandy. Unfortunately, they couldn't get that bowl game, but it is what it is. You'll take 10 wins top 5, top 8 SEC team. But we got to move on to our final standings. How the season ended. Now, my standings, I had Bama 1, Texas 2, LSU 3, Ole Miss 4, Texas A&M 5, South Carolina 6, Florida 7, Georgia 8, Auburn 9, Vandy 10, Tennessee
Georgia
11.
8. Woo!
Tiebreakers. I had them 5 and 3. Auburn 9, Vandy 10, Tennessee 11, Arkansas 12, 13 Mizzou, 14 Oklahoma, 15 Kentucky, and 16 Mississippi State. Do you got your standings?
I do.
Go ahead.
I have Bama 1, Ole Miss 2, Texas 3, LSU 4, Georgia 5, South Carolina 6, Missouri 7, Tennessee 8, Texas and A&M 9.
Hey, look, you laughing. I had Oklahoma 14, bro. It's okay.
Oklahoma 10, Florida 11, Arkansas 12, Auburn 13, Vanderbilt 14, Mississippi State 15, Kentucky 16.
All right, so those are our standings, right? These are the actual standings. Bama was 1, so we both got Bama right at 1. Georgia was 2. Ole Miss was 3, so I was 1 off. Texas A&M was 4 again. I was 1 off. Texas was 5. Oklahoma was 6. Vandy was 7. Mizzou was 8. Tennessee was 9. LSU was 10. Kentucky was 11. Florida was 12. Auburn was 13. 14 was Mississippi State. 15th was South Carolina. Oh, God. And 16th was Arkansas. So those are the actual standings. Now, my projected SEC title game was Bama versus Texas at 1 and 2, with Bama winning the SEC. Yours was
Bama versus Ole Miss, with Bama winning the SEC.
And the actual SEC title game, which we got half of it right, was Bama versus Georgia, but Georgia dominated Bama to win the SEC. And my SEC player of the year, I think we had the same ones. My offensive player of the year was Nussmeier, and my defensive player of the year was Dylan Stewart.
Yeah, we both fit the same.
And the actual offensive player of the year was Diego Pavia, obviously second at Heisman. And the defensive player of the year, I didn't say this in this segment because I wanted to wait, but was Cassius Howe, edge from Texas A&M. So congratulations to him as well. And that is the end of our SEC review. Any last words, Joe?
It's crazy, Carl. That went by so fast. It don't feel like we've been on this long. It went by so fast for me. All right, but great episode, man. I was looking forward to this. I was happy I'm here. To a preview with you and a review with you. So I'm looking forward to the 2026 season. My overview of this, as far as the over and under, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went 9-6 on the over and under. So I guess that's a win, right? I won.
For sure, it's a win.
Yeah, that's a
Anything
win.
above 500 with Vegas is a win.
Yeah, so I went 9-6 on the over and under. And when it comes to like predicting the records correctly, I got Ole Miss right, I got Missouri right, and Tennessee. So so 3 teams I got right. Shout out to them. And I got a couple wrong. I got a lot wrong. But my last words would be number 1, Commanders. I know you talked about the Brandon Ayuk situation. He on IG talking about the 49ers. Listen, I still want him, Carl. I still want him. If we can get him for
his initials.
If we can get a little bit, get him for a little bit of change, I am down for that. Also, the video is wild, but he's talking like he got a chip on his shoulder. I like that. He basically saying like, listen, they know what's up. They let me go. They know what's up. It's gonna be straight belt. So I like the confidence he got still. So shout out to him. Also, my Washington Nationals. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. I mean, Carl, I know you've been watching number 1 offense in baseball right now. We did lose today, though. Shout out to the Diamondbacks. They did beat us.
Y'all not the number 1 offense in baseball right now, my brother.
Okay, statistically, probably not. All right, but we've been consistently on the top 3.
Y'all hooping for
all
sure.
year. You know, so and the pitching has been a lot better too in recent games. That's that. I'm gonna make this quick. Sacramento Kings, they trying to secure Darius Acuff. They even talk about trading up to make sure we get him. I actually like that because Flemings, I like if we fall with Flemings, I'd be cool with that call. But that reminds me like another De'Aaron Fox. If that makes
like, I mean, that's literally his guy. That's his mentor.
Oh, for real? Yeah. Like it reminds me of another De'Aaron Fox. And it's like it gets my you know what I mean? Like I don't want to go through that again. You know, shout out to my boy Swiper though. And that's all and Texas, we are on here. I don't have much to say about Wake Forest, Carl, for real. But Texas, Arch Manning, the defense. Let's get it, man. I'm looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, I don't really blame you for the Wake Forest thing, but my last words is appreciate you for coming on. I want to shout you out, man. You did a really good job for your first preview of a conference. I do want to give you your flowers for, appreciate that. Getting some conference, some teams in the conference record correctly, because that's not easy to do. It's not. So definitely shout out to you for that. You put in the work, and you got two of them completely correct with both conference and non-conference. So definitely want to give you your flowers for that. Shout out Texas, man. Unfortunately, it didn't have the season that you wanted, but I think there's some good to take away from the season. My Tigers, man, we won 5 of our last 6, so we're trending upward a little bit.
Okay.
I'm a little happy we did get some. We got a little healthy. We got Gleyber Torres back. So I was excited for that. He's playing well. I want to say his second game, his first at bat, he had a homer or something like that. But yeah, man, 1-2 back-to-back series. We swept the Rays, beat the Mariners. So I'm getting a little happiness of that. Still 12 games under 500, so we got a long way to go. But the draft is closely approaching. We got the finals going on, but Pistons at 21. I don't know who I want, bro. I like Malik Thomas. I saw some of us getting a guard from Stanford, Obakuri. I like him. He a bucket for sure. But I'll probably look more into it after the finals. I like Darius Acuff to y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I love that for y'all, to be honest with you. The UFL just ended before we went live. The Defenders beat the Storm 28-22 to advance to the championship. Well, they were taking on Louisville. One of the hottest teams, won 5 straight, including this playoff win against St. Louis, who St. Louis was the last team to beat Louisville before they beat DC in back-to-back games. Both games I bet on DC to win. So DC is looking for revenge in this title game against Louisville. So that should be a fun championship game next Saturday to watch. I will be back with CTC this coming Thursday. My last review before my coaching carousel episode. We have to review the 10 group of 5 schools I told y'all to look out for. And let's just say I was getting a lot of these over-unders correct. So I'm excited. I already did the work for that episode. It's already written up, so I just got to do it. But again, want to shout you out, Joe, for coming on. Great SEC episode. Hopefully you'll be back for the SEC preview for the next season. And that's all I got for y'all today. I'll be back Thursday. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night, but I'm gone. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.